Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Jerry and I'm hailing you from the Antares shipyard. And today I'm happy to bring you another episode of the Captain's Table. This time it's going to be on the faction pack These Are The Voyages. Definitely buckle up because this is a very long pack. A normal faction pack has about 50 plus cards in it. I believe this faction pack clocked in at about 120 to 150. I don't remember what the exact number was, but we are looking at almost triple the size of any other faction pack that came out. And note that 5 ships came in this pack, where a normal faction pack only has 4 ship models. So you get 5 ship models here, and they are all gold plated. They are very nice. I have them on display in my office as I speak. So it's important to keep in mind when thinking about this faction pack that it is the celebration of Attack Wing. Attack Wing turned 10 years old recently. Whether it was this year or last year, I don't remember, but it turned 10 years old, and that's kind of what this pack was designed to celebrate. It is a celebration that this game that we all love so much has turned 10 years old. It is about to be a teenager in a few more years. So this pack takes a lot of things with these specific ships. So all the enterprises that are available in the game are here represented. I know some people were disappointed that the Enterprise C didn't make its debut. That is a whole different story in its own. So I think we can just set that over to the side for this episode. We'll talk about that in a future episode of something. But every enterprise is represented here in the game, and some enterprises are harder to get than others. Like the Enterprise A, that was a grand prize. The Enterprise B, that was a limited release and didn't get a reprint. Even the Enterprise E, that did get a reprint, is kind of hard to get their hands on. So the other thing that this faction pack does is kind of take a look at some of the older cards, maybe that were released in Wave Zero with the original Tiny Prize, and it takes a look at those and fixes a lot of the language and the wording on the cards and kind of brings it in line with the modern game. So, without too much more delay, I just want to explain real quick what the Captain's Table is. If for those who are new to the series or haven't seen this episode or any of my previous episodes, so in the Captain's Table, I take a look at every card that comes in the faction pack. We take a look at it, we dissect it, we take a look at the mechanics, we talk about possible combos, possible defenses against the card, everything under the sun. So we just take a nice detailed look at each of the cards. And this video is coming out a couple months post release, so that is enough time for everybody to kind of digest what's going on here. So without that, let's get over and let's get this party started. So we're going to be looking at the ships first. So the first ship in the pack, card number 1, is going to be the Enterprise NX-01, Federation NX class 2330. It comes with a weapon and 3 crew slots, recosted down to 12 points. That is a nice recosting there. So it got a standard Federation action bar. Now, we've got 2 abilities here now versus the original. So, the first ability says you may equip the Federation prototype construction card, ignoring its restrictions, and even if the ship has a different construction equipped. So, basically, you're allowed to equip now the Federation prototype, which stated you can only equip it to ships that match the class name. That's not going to be the case here, but Enterprise NX-01 is the first Federation prototype, the first prototype ever for Starfleet, really. Warp 5 ships, anyway. So that allows you to equip that. But on top of that, it says, hey, you can equip another construction ship, or another construction card. The second ability is this ship may still perform any actions listed on the Federation captain and or each of the Federation crew upgrades equipped to this ship, despite the presence of any aux power tokens beside it. So kind of the same ability as the older NX class. I don't believe that this is considered an errata of that, but I don't know why you wouldn't play this version over the other. Mainly it's cheaper, It allows you to play the Federation prototype, which is going to give you more slots. So you can definitely clown car these NXs up. But it allows you to do actions on your crew, even if they have aux powers. Um, so a couple of cards that are going to fit well here. You've got your Federation prototype, which you already get to equip, and it's a 1 point equip. You don't need a slot for it. That Federation prototype allows you to add a tech weapon or crew slot to the upgrade bar, and then it gives you an ability when defending. You can re-roll a blank or a battle stations. And then we get another card, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You got the enhanced hull plating, which can only be equipped to NX classes. When defending, modified defense dice step. If the ship has no active shields and is not cloaked, you may add up to 2 evades. If you do so, place 1 aux power token besides the ship for each evade added. So, of course, there is another card that you can pair well with this. That would be Montgomery Scott that comes in this pack and comes in the Ship of the Line pack where you can place up to 2 aux power tokens on him. And of course, I've seen a combo run a lot with the old NX where you bring the Exo comp. Now, the NX doesn't have a natural tech slot, but that's where Federation Prototype comes in. So you can run Prototype, get a tech slot, put Exo comp in it, and when your ship starts to, say you take 3 hits and you reduce it down to 2, you take a hit, so you don't get a third aux power token. Well, you can't. You may add up to 2, but you take that third as a hit to your hull, and then in the planning phase you place 2 time tokens on an exo comp, repair that hull. Now you're back up to full health. And of course, this ship, Enterprise NX-01, is primed for the Type 8 phaser, upgraded phaser combo. You would obviously have to get another cruise or another weapon slot there, but again, that's what Federation Prototype kind of provides for you. And then a natural fit here is going to be Erica Hernandez, who can only be equipped as a captain herself to NX class ships. And we'll talk about her a little more in the in when we get to the captain section. So the next card in the pack, card number 3, is the Columbia NX-02. Finally making its way into the game, we get a second Federation NX class. That is amazing. Same stats as the NX-01. Weapon, crew slots though. Cost out of 11, so a couple points cheaper than the NX-01. So, after using the Enhanced Hull Plating Construction card, remove 1 aux token from beside this ship. So, if you add 2 evade tokens from the Enhanced Hull Plating, you have to place an aux power token for each. However, if you use the card, you place 1 less. So you get to use 2 evade tokens for the price of 1 aux power token. Very nice there. Second ability is Declare Target Step. You may attack a target with a Photonic Torpedo's weapon upgrade at +1 attack dice, ignoring any firing arcs. If you do, you must discard that upgrade. So Photonic Torpedoes is a card that we will definitely talk a little bit more about in the weapons upgrade section of the pack. But I do have it here on screen if you want to read it to see why it's a cool combo to have. But we got Erica Hernandez is also another card that wants to live on a Federation NX class. Again, this card is right for the Type 8 upgraded phasers combo, or you can put improved phasers on it to give it a little more teeth. And then Mr. Spock is an interesting card to place here, who allows you to have a free target lock or a scan token. You would take the target lock here in the event that you want to use the Photonic Torpedoes. Now, the cool thing about the Photonic Torpedoes with the Columbia NX-02 ability is that you don't need to fire them out of your forward firing arc. You can fire them out of any firing arc. Alright, moving on to the third named ship in the pack. It is the USS Enterprise Constitution class refit. 3144 tech weapon triple crew, 22 points. After this ship executes a maneuver, gain the following effect based on the speed of that maneuver. Any maneuver with a speed of 3+, you place a scan token besides this ship. Any speed maneuver that you take that is at 2, when attacking with a primary weapon, you get to roll +1 attack dice. And then if you moved with a primary or a speed of 1, When attacking with your primary weapon, you roll +2 attack dice. So the Enterprise rewards you for coming in close and moving slow to attack. What cards kind of work with this? Well, movement, movement cards that affect movement speed, I should say, are the cards that you want to look at here. So that's going to be your Helmsman from Alliance. That's Chemocyte. That's Jenkins. Now, Helmsman allows you to move your speed up one or down one. So if you go, say you move forward two, you reveal a two, but you're like, oh shoot, that's going to get me too far, and I would be better suited to do a one, and I get +2 attack dice. You can reduce that to a straight one instead of a straight two. Um, if you needed a scan token, you could boost Helmsman up from speed of 2 to speed of 3 and get that scan token. Now, notice it says 3 plus, so that means any movement you do at 4, 5, or 6, you also get that scan token. So you could reveal a maneuver of 3, use Chemocyte to increase it by 2 to make it a 4 and 5. You still get your scan token. Jenkins, along the same route here, you may increase the speed of the maneuver. So, what else can you do? Well, Geordi LaForge also does it. Reveal dial step, the ship reveals a forward maneuver. Place 2 time tokens on this card and choose one of the effects from the list. Treat the revealed maneuver as green maneuver. Increase the speed revealed by 1. The color of the maneuver remains the same. And of course, if you have the Federation prototype, which you cannot put it on this one, unfortunately, so that part of his card doesn't work here. And then, of course, you got Geordi LaForge from the 2017 Core Starter Set, who allows you to increase or decrease your speed of your maneuver by 2. So a lot of these cards allow you some flexibility in doing this. And then you got the new James T. Kirk right out of this pack that just straight up allows you to change your maneuver dial. So all of these cards really play well with the Enterprise's kind of movement-based effect here, which is really, really cool. It's something that we really haven't seen too much in the game. I like this ability much better than the original one that came out with this ship. Alright, so the next card in the pack is the Enterprise A, which was a grand prize ship for the classic movies era OP storylines. So we got 3144, tech weapon, triple crew, coming in at 22 points, standard Federation action bar. When attacking, if there is a scan token beside your ship, roll +1 attack dice, +2 if the defending ship is cloaked. So that first ability is like the standard. That's what the Enterprise A Grand Prize did, and it did it very well. It was a ship that I ran quite a bit, especially when cloaking was a heavy meta for me when we were playing in person. The Enterprise A was always able to just pack a punch. But now we got a secondary ability here. So planning phase. If the captain equipped to the ship has a unique Federation talent upgrade equipped to it, you may discard that upgrade. Equip one other unique Federation upgrade with a cost of 4 or less that is not already in your fleet to the captain and place any tokens that were on the discarded upgraded on the new upgrade. So, effectively, the Enterprise A allows you to swap out an elite talent mid-game. It doesn't say that you have to have the elite talent in reserve. It doesn't say that it has to be with another person. It doesn't say that it has to be discarded. You know, the elite talent that you're bringing back doesn't have to be discarded. So it opens up a lot of possibilities here for you. Now, what it means by any tokens is like legacy of the name. You put 3 time tokens on to do the action. So those 3 time tokens wouldn't actually go away. They would just be reoccurred on the new elite talent that you place down. So what cards work well with the Enterprise A? Well, we're not focusing on the second half of the ability because that's a little hard to predict what cards are going to work well with it. Because there's a lot of elite talents that you could really, really utilize. And then, of course, it's Federation elite talents, so that narrows the pool down, but not by a lot. You could have Task Force and Task Force Commander, Legacy of the name that you kind of switch out. But you have to be careful with whatever's in your fleet on your other ships with your captains. So the cards that I chose here mainly focus on Enterprise A's first ability, which is getting attack dice for the scan token. Of course, pairing him with Mr. Spock, the crew Mr. Spock, is a no-brainer where you utilize the scan token to convert the battle stations to hits. Now, I will say that in order to activate Mr. Spock's effect and the Enterprise A's effect, you will have to have two scan tokens. You cannot activate both effects off of one scan token, so you have to have two. So that's where things like Tuvok, Science Officer, Chulak, they come into play because they'll give you multiple scan tokens. Same thing if you've got Enterprise A, Mr. Spock, Dimitri Valtain, you will need to have three scan tokens to use all three of them. And then you got this Klingon Science Officer here from Alliance Part 2. She allows you to place a scan token beside your ship and then remove a target lock token if you can. So the fifth card in the pack is the USS Excelsior 3154 Tech Weapon Triple Crew, coming in at 23 points. It is an Excelsior class. So USS Excelsior class. This is eligible for Federation prototype to be equipped. Each time an opposing ship within range 1 to 3 would acquire a blue target lock token, this ship must be the target, if able. Then remove a disabled token from a crew upgrade equipped to this ship. So if you've got an opponent within range 1 to 3, they want to target lock the Enterprise A, but the Excelsior is sitting here, they have to target lock the Excelsior as long as it's within range. So playing on that ability, there is a upgrade called Monotanium Armor Plating. It came with the original Alpha Hunter, and then the Errata card, which is this one here, came in Adversaries of the Delta Quadrant. Now, this card states, whenever an opposing ship would place a red target lock token besides this ship, roll 2 defense dice. If you roll at least 1 evade, discard the target lock token and the matching blue token besides the opponent's opposing ship. Or action, disable this card, remove each red target lock token from the ship and the matching blue tokens from besides the target ship. You pair that with the Excelsior, and you've got a ship where, yep, you target lock me all day long, do whatever you want. I'm going to use my action, and we'll get rid of all these target locks. Or you can roll these dice to see if their target lock's going to stick. It just makes an interesting ship in my mind to try and run and play. Now, another interesting card to place here is going to be Lian Su, who again we'll get to in the upgrade section. She is from this pack, but whenever an opposing ship would acquire a target lock on your ship, if there's a scan token beside your ship, you may place an evade token. So that's if you take maybe a lower skilled captain, or a ship, or an ability, or another crew, or another upgrade gives you a scan token. Something like the USS Intrepid. Trying to think of what else hands out scan tokens to other ships. That might be it. But either way, if you get a scan token handed to you from somewhere, Lian Su might be something to think about. Vorik is another one that's very interesting to me. Place 3 time tokens on him, and you get to remove a target lock token or a battle stations besides the attacking ship, and place a scan token besides this ship. And that's a wind defending effect, so Lian Su and him wouldn't pair. But say you got target locked 3 times out of this round, and you were able to roll monotanium armor plating successfully for 2 of them, but one of those target locks stuck. Well, now you can use Vorik when you are defending, so if that ship decides to attack you to use its target lock, you can use Vorik, place 3 time tokens on him, and remove that time token, or that target lock token, and say, well, I guess you can't use secondary weapons against me. Have fun with your primary weapon pot shot if they have him in arc for a primary weapon pot shot. So, Science Officer is another one that's an action. Place a scan token beside the ship. You may remove the red target lock. So, she might be the better option than Vorik because Vorik is he's got 3 time tokens, which is kind of rough. You could use Ezri Dax on this ship with Vorik to reduce it to 2, and then Julian Bashir somewhere else in your fleet to target that ship and get rid of those other 2 to try and recur Vorik every round. I think the downside to the Science Officer is that it is an action, so it's going to eat up your action, and it's going to take, but it'll give you a scan, and it will take off any target lock tokens you have that got through the monotanium armor plating. And then an interesting one is the original Hikaru Sulu captain that came with the original Excelsior. You may disable one of your crew upgrades to remove an opponent's target lock token from beside your ship. Again, that's doing a lot. It's an action to disable a crew, and then you're going to have to re-enable that crew with an action or somewhere else. Or if another ship target locks you later on in the round, you'll be able to remove that disable from that crew using the Excelsior's ability. So the next Excelsior class ship we're going to get is the USS Enterprise B 3154 Tech Weapon Crew. 24 points, a little bit more expensive than the Excelsior. Whenever you perform an action listed on a Federation crew upgrade equipped to the ship, place one less time token on that upgrade. Okay, so this is the ship that you want to have Ezri Dax on, and then you want to fill the crew slots with crew that have 3 time tokens. And I say that because you can take Chakotay, for example, here, where you place 3 time tokens on him, target an opposing ship within range, and place 2 time tokens on the captain equipped to that target ship. Well, Enterprise B says place 1 less, so now you're down to 2. Ezri Dax also says place 1 less, so now you're down to 1 time token. So a crew that would take a couple of turns to kind of recur is now coming back every round. But Enterprise B also works with your 2 time token crew like Demora Sulu to reduce that to 1 without Ezri. But of course, if you have Enterprise B and Ezri there, you're going to place those 2 time tokens and then remove them thanks to Enterprise B and Ezri. Kira Nerys is another interesting one that you could recur every round pretty much. Metal Celis is the lower decker from Lost in the Delta Quadrant is another one that you could recur every round. So the Enterprise B, different ability than the original release one, but I like this ability much more. Alright, so we've got our first errata ship that we're going to be looking at. This is the Enterprise D. This is the original Enterprise D that came out of the 2013 Course Starter set. As you can see on the left is the older card with the older text. Same stat line. The slot layout is changed. They took out one of the weapon slots and added a text slot, which was a much needed change, to be fair. But you'll notice that the wording is a little bit different, and it's not that it does anything different, it's just cleaned up. So they have declare target step, so we're now getting to the point to where we are defining what step this is happening in, and you may attack with the ship's primary weapon at -1 outside of your forward firing arc at range 1 to 2. Now, that's exactly the same wording as what the Enterprise D over here says. It doesn't say -1, it does say attack with 3 attack dice, but that's -1 from your primary. So either way, it makes sense. So what pairs well here? Well, Type 10 phasers from Ships of the Line is a card that could really help out here. You get to roll +1 attack and then reroll to 2 blanks. This is when you're attacking with your primary weapon. So not only will you get to fire in any range at range 1 to 2, Type 10 phaser says, well, yeah, you're going to be -1 attack, but you can have that attack dice back, so it'll be a 4 dice attack now. And then you can reroll to 2 blanks. Bellana Torres is another one that allows you to reroll some blanks. The Valdor as a captain is an interesting one. When attacking, if the ship is not near target ship's forward firing arc, you get to add an attack die. So you can pair him and Type 10 phasers on the ship. And now you've got a 6 attack at any range 1 to 2. And then you put Denatra somewhere else in your fleet, and now you make that a 7 dice attack. And of course you start to hit the cap of rule of 3. Hayes and Goltaran are other interesting cards that could come into play to just boost that attack up. So there is a way to boost your attack to the ceiling of 7. Yes. Next ship in the pack is the USS Galaxy. Treat the captain skill number of the Federation captain with a printed captain skill number of 4 or greater equipped to the ship as 8. If equipped with a construction card upgrade, when defending, roll +1 defense dice. Okay, so the Galaxy 4154 Tech Weapon Triple Crew, 26 points, Standard Federation action bar, has a very interesting ability. So you have to be careful um, with the captain that you select and you put on the Galaxy. So treat the captain skill number of the Federation captain with a printed captain skill number of 4 or greater equipped to this ship as 8. The or greater part is where you have to be careful because you could put, say, John Luke Picard 9 from the core starter set or James T. Kirk, who is a skill 9. You attach him, you equip him as a captain here. He's going to get treated as a skill 8 and not a skill 9. So you have to be careful with the captains you're going to equip here, unless it's part of your plan. Um, but what's interesting to me is cards like Rudolph Ransom, where he is a skill 4, gives you a nice defense boost, buff, whatever. I can't speak. Either way, he gives you a nice defense buff if you have an evade token. So you treat him as a skill 8. You treat Patterson as a skill 8. Which are both very interesting cards to be running here. And of course, you get extra defense dice if you are running a Federation prototype, a Dominion War retrofit. You can even put in a Ablative Generator on here. So all three of those cards will give you +1. You pair it with Ransom, and now you're rolling 4 defense dice for a Galaxy class. Crazy good. Crazy good. And of course, you can run Hikaru Sulu as your crew. Run the action to get the +2 defense dice, plus having one of these construction cards equipped. Now, again, doesn't matter who your captain is, Sulu is going to get you up to 4 defense dice. Alright, next card in the pack is the USS Enterprise NCC 1701-E. And just a disclaimer right here, this is a flip card. It is the first time we've seen a flip card get reintroduced into the game since they were brought. I think the last instance of a flip card was the Kelvin Timeline Faction Pack, which kind of did the mechanic okay. I think the Lursa Baitor flip card is probably my favorite flip card, but not anymore. The Enterprise E is. So 5155 Tech Weapon Crew, 29 points, Standard Fed action bar. Check for Power Strain Step. Now, remember, check for Power Strain Step has always been in the game. That's not anything new. It's just kind of a step that's not verbalized very much when you're playing. It always happens, but it's not verbalized as, hey, I'm checking for Power Strain. So Power Strain Step is the point where you move and you check to see if your move is a green or if you can remove an Aux Power token from beside your ship or if you need to add an Aux Power token beside your ship. So, check for Power Strain Step. If you executed a green maneuver, place an evade token beside the ship, and when defending this round, you get to roll +1 defense dice. So, very, very defensible. Planning phase. You may flip this card over to its other side. So, if this side is defense, the other side must be offense. But let's talk defense. So, what I've got laid out here are all these defense cards. You got William T. Riker, who gives you +1. You've got Sulu, who's going to roll 2. So that if you have Sulu in the Enterprise E and you do a green maneuver, he's going to max you out at, again, 4 defense dice for a Sovereign class. Tom Paris is another one you can take here. Shelby is an interesting one. So if you're going up against a lot of Borg, she'll give you a +1. But at the very least, she'll allow you to re-roll a blank. Rudolph Ransom is a captain. If you do this, you're going to get your evade token, and then Rudolph Ransom will activate. So that's a natural pairing right there. And then, of course, multi-adaptive shields is another interesting card to place here because it's going to increase your shield value up to 6. And when you're defending, if you have active shields, you get +1 defense dice from that card. So you're already getting +2 defense dice if you did a green maneuver there. So, yes, indeed, the flip side of this card is an offensive version of the ship. When attacking with a torpedo upgrade, place an aux power token besides this ship. You do not need a target lock to perform that attack. So that is the same language that's already on the Enterprise E that we have. So just cleaned up here using images instead of the words, which is nice, using the bold font. In phase, flip this card over to its other side. So notice that there's two different phases you can do this in. Planning phase, you can flip it over to this side from the other side, and then in phase, you flip it from the offense side to the defense side. Um, Kind of interesting how that can work. So, what works well with this? Well, we already know Federation photon torpedoes. Either the disabled version or the time token version work very well with this. The Ferengi photon torpedoes is another one that works very well with this ship. Um, because you don't. But to be fair, the Ferengi photon torpedoes don't need a target lock to fire, where the Federation photon torpedoes do. So, in my humble opinion, I believe that the Federation photon torpedoes fit better on the Enterprise NCC 11701E better than the Ferengi ones do. And of course, you can put quantum torpedoes here because it just says with a torpedo upgrade. So, quantum torpedoes also fit into that category. So that's an interesting one. And of course, you can get metaphasic sweep added onto your ship here that allows you to get a free target lock, even if the ship is cloaked. And then, of course, Mr. Spock that gives you a target lock as a free action. Or this new Padrick Daniels, who we'll get to later on. He allows you to hold two target locks at the same time. Interesting, interesting. So that is the first 10 ships that are in this pack. We've got more. The next ship in this pack is the USS Atlas, a Sovereign class 5155. Tech weapon, triple crew, 29 points. Now you might be thinking, Jerry, whoa, whoa, whoa. There is no USS Atlas in Star Trek Alpha canon. And you would be right. There is no USS Atlas in Alpha canon. However, there is a USS Atlas in Beta canon. I believe it was in a novel published by Pocket Books. I don't remember the title of it, but the captain of the USS Atlas is none other than Captain Morgan Bateson. Now, I am sad to report that he did not come in These Are The Voyages. He did not come with his ship, but there might be other reasons for that that we may never know. So the Atlas does exist in the Trek world. This was approved by CBS to be included. So that's good enough for me. I'm happy with it. It's another Sovereign class that we're going to get. So we got the USS Sovereign, the USS Musashi, the Enterprise E, both versions, and the Atlas. So now we've got 5 different Sovereigns to play with. Yes, please. So what is the Atlas's ability? Whenever the ship performs a battle station, scan, or an evade action, target a friendly ship within range 1 to 2. Place a copy of that token besides the target ship. Now, you have to be very careful with this ability. And I say that because we have a very distinct line between what is considered an action and then what is considered placing a token. So, things like James T. Kirk up here, I put him here because I wanted to distinctly show this. His text states, place a scan token or a battle station token. Now, you are not taking the action to place that token. Kirk is giving you the token to place. So, you cannot take that scan token that Kirk places next to the Atlas and then give it to somebody else because you're not doing the action. Whereas 7 of 9 down here in the bottom, she states perform the scan action. So now you're doing the scan action from the action bar as a free action. So you would, that scan token that you place next to the Atlas, you would be able to hand off. Hopefully that makes sense. The Nova is another one where you can't really do it. Tuvok does allow you to do it, Perform either a target lock or a battle station action as a free action. Mr. Spock, the captain here, perform a target lock or a scan action as a free action. And then you've got Hikaru Sulu, the Mirror Universe version. He would also work. You would disable this card to acquire a target lock on an enemy ship within range 1 to 3, and then perform an action listed on your action bar as a free action. So there's just a little line there that you have to be aware of so you don't cross over it and get all tripped up. Alright, so that was the last of the named ships. These are just the generic ships that are getting recosted, and I wanted to show them off. So you've got the old NX01, or the old Federation NX generic over here at 16 points. Same slot layout, same stats, but now it's been recosted to a very nice 9. Next one that got recosted is the Constitution class refit, coming down from 22 points to 18 points. Not a huge recosting, but big enough to make it playable. The next recosting, this one we already knew about, because this one got recosted back in Alliance. But I just wanted to show it off here, just in the event that nobody knew. The old Excelsiors were at 24 points. Since Alliance 1 came out, they have been recosted down to 20 points. Galaxy class also was recosted a while ago. I think the Federation vs. Klingon starter set is what recosted it, but in the event that people didn't know, I wanted to show it off. Plus, this is the actual generic card from the These Are The Voyages pack, which I think is beautiful artwork. It's much better than the side view of the ship that they chose to originally, but recosted down by 4 points. Very nice cost saving there. And then we've got the Sovereign class, which was recosted in Ships to the Line. But again, just wanted to show the card off. It's got good card art. For those who don't know, definitely a 5-point savings there. So that is it for the ships. We'll be moving into the captains next. Alright, we're going to move on to the captains, and these are the voyages. And we're going to start with the first captain in the pack. That is Captain Jonathan Archer. Skill 5, elite talent slot, cost of 3. Add 1 crew upgrade to the ship's upgrade bar. Action. Perform the action listed on up to 2 Federation crew upgrades equipped to this ship as free actions. Place a disabled token on each of those upgrades. So, a very cool ability, very interesting, very thematic for him, being able to activate multiple crew to get something done and accomplished. So, cards that pair well with him. So, a lot of these cards, I'm not going to lie to you, we're not going to go into very much in-depth detail because they will be in this video later. Starting with the very goodest of boys, Porthos. We'll cover him later. Same with Deanna Troi, Jay Hayes, and Hikaru Sulu. So that leaves Tuvok, who is an action disable this card, perform either a target lock or a battle station action as a free action, and then perform an action listed on a Federation crew equipped to this ship as a free action. And then you have 7 of 9, who is an action, perform the scan action as a free action. In addition, if equipped to an Intrepid class, place either a scan or an evade token besides the ship. In addition, if equipped to a Borg ship, place a battle station token beside her, or besides the ship. So we got multiple things that we can do here, but one of the ideas that I've kind of been working through in my head is kind of a daisy chain of actions. So you've got Jonathan Archer, who's going to perform 2 Federation crew actions as free actions, but they have to be disabled to do it. So first action, the first crew that we choose to do an action with is going to be Hikaru Sulu. So we do that, we get the roll +2 defense dice and convert battle stations to evade when defending, but Hikaru Sulu gets disabled. The next action we choose is going to be Tuvok. So we disable this card, perform either a target lock or a battle station. In this case, we're going to choose a battle station, and then we get to do an action on another Federation crew upgrade, and of course Tuvok's going to get disabled. But MRES comes in and says, oh look, Tuvok did the battle station action. So now there's a battle station next to the ship that was placed there, so that activates MRES, and MRES removes a disabled token from Hikaru Sulu. So the free action from Tuvok of another Federation crew upgrade is going to be Commander. And then you place a battle station token and an evade token beside the ship. Now, MRES activates again, because it's any time you place a battle station. So, MRES activates again and is able to re-enable Tuvok. So, all of your disabled crew are back up and ready to go next round. So, just kind of an interesting combo there that I've been thinking about messing with and toying with. If you want to take it for yourself, be my guest. So the next captain in the pack here is T'Pol. Skill 5, Elite Talent Slot, Federation Vulcan Dual Faction, cost of 3. Action, perform a 1 impulse maneuver, or impulse roll maneuver. In addition, if equipped to a Vulcan ship, place 2 scan tokens beside the ship. And then in addition, if equipped to a NX class, you may perform the action listed on a Federation crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. So really, T'Pol's got 3 things going on here. So, firstly, you get to do the Impulse Roll action, which is a new maneuver template that is in the game. It comes with These Are The Voyages, and I believe is lost in the Delta Quadrant as well. You can see here on the right side of the screen, I've got what the template looks like and what the placement of the ships will look like after you use it. It is a white maneuver, so it's not an aux power. And then you get to place 2 scan tokens beside your ship. I'm sorry. Nope, you do the maneuver. So that's the T'Pol's first thing. If it's on a Vulcan ship, like the USS Taccumbra, the Dikir class, or the Intrepid, then you get 2 scan tokens to place next to your ship. In addition, so the third ability is if it's on an NX class, then you may perform the action of a crew upgrade equipped to that NX class. So there isn't a way, to my knowledge, where you're going to get 2 scan tokens on an NX class, because NX classes are strictly Federation. And if you remember the sub-faction rules right now, all Vulcan and Bajorans are considered Federation, but not all Federation are considered Vulcan and Bajoran. So because it specifically calls out Vulcan, and the NX class lacks that faction on its card, you cannot do that action. So you're kind of limited. You have to kind of pick and choose where you want to put T'Pol in your fleet. But overall, a good card. You get to do the impulse roll no matter what. So no matter what ship she goes on, that's like your first static ability, and then you got these 2 branching abilities from there. So again, just a couple of places I've been trying to think where T'Pol would fit well. She would work on the workhorse, the Enterprise NX-01, where you're going to get, because she's equipped to an NX class, you get to place 2 scan tokens, or not 2 scan, I'm sorry, you get to do the impulse roll, and then you get to activate a Federation crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action, which again, you can go and do Tuvok, who is going to place a target lock or a battle station, and then do another Federation crew upgrade, which at that point you can activate Malcolm Reed, and we'll talk about him a little later. Or you can put her as a captain of the Taccumbra, which she'll get a discount for being a Vulcan crew. And then, now, here's the trick with the Taccumbra. The Taccumbra, to activate its second ability, has to hit the scan action. Because T'Pol is on a Vulcan ship, she will get to place 2 scan tokens, but that's a placement versus an action. So she could, you could you wouldn't be able to activate 7 of 9 because you're not on an NX class. But you'd have to find a way to set that scan action off to get the additional action from the Taccumbra. And then, of course, you got Mr. Spock, who wants scan tokens. The third captain in this pack is Maxwell Forrest. So after the skill 4, no elite talent slot, cost of 3. After the ship executes a maneuver, target a friendly Federation or Vulcan ship within range that has a captain equipped with a captain skill number greater than this captain, and that range is range 1 to 2. The target ship may either perform a forward one bank maneuver, or the captain equipped to the target ship can perform its listed action as a free action. So, I want to say this real quick about Maxwell Forest here. It says target a friendly Federation or Vulcan ship. If you remember back to the last card, to Paul, we were discussing that the sub-faction rules were all Bajoran and Vulcan ships count as Federation. And that falls into this. So right now, as it stands, the rules in the game, Maxwell Forest can target friendly Vulcans and friendly Bajorans and friendly Federation. Even though he specifically calls out Vulcan itself. So some cards that he pairs well with, obviously Hikaru Sulu, because note, his text is not an action. It just says after this ship executes a maneuver. So Maxwell Force gets to move and then reaches out to another ship within range 1 to 2, and this says, hey, you can do one forward, or you can do a free action of your captain. So if the captain was Hikaru Sulu on your friendly ship, Hikaru Sulu would be able to do a one forward, and then when it's Hikaru Sulu's turn, he can do his action and do a bank, left or right. So you'll be able to kind of grab Hikaru's ship and pull it forward with you. T'Pol obviously works with this. Jonathan Archer is going to work very well. But notice that it just says target a friendly Federation or Vulcan ship. It doesn't say what captain it has to be, right? So it can be a Klingon captain on a Federation ship. It could be Kira Nerys, who again is Bajoran and technically Federation. So I just wanted to kind of point that out there too. But also take note with Maxwell Forest's ability, his captain skill number, or the captain skill number of the ship that he's targeting, has to be higher than him. So I've got 5s listed here, but if you've got an admiral on Maxwell Forest when he's, I don't know, boosted +2 up to a 6, or you got Riker who boosts Federation captains +3 up to a 7, you have to make sure that the captain you're targeting is higher than Maxwell Forest. And it doesn't say printed, so that's going to be whatever your captain skill is that round. Okay, next card in the pack is going to be the Admiral version of Maxwell Forest. This is an errata card, so on the left you can see what the old card's wording is, and on the right you can see what the new card's wording is. Same effect, same everything, just the wording is cleaned up, and note that it states exactly what maneuvers you can do and what color they are. That was a big thing with the original Forest that wasn't covered, that had to have a wharf ruling on. So I applaud them for coming back and kind of redoing the card. And I actually kind of like the artwork on the newer one better than the old one. So what cards does he work well with? We're still going to be looking at cards that do extra maneuvers. So this is very much in that space of maneuvering and doing extra things to get further on the board. So George Sanders, he's going to work well with. Of course, George Sanders is going to be in the combat phase, where Forrest is going to be in your activation phase. But kind of the point there is you're going to get to move in multiple phases. James T. Kirk, we'll talk about him in a little bit. You got Tom Paris from Lost in the Delta Quadrant that can, again, affect movement in the combat phase. Sarita Carson, who's going to give you combat phase movement. And then you got variable geometry pylons on an Intrepid class. So you have to be careful because it's going to be a revealed maneuver. So that variable geometry pylons doesn't work with Forrest himself, but it does work with revealing the dial, increasing your speed by 1, and then you can use your action to Maxwell Forest another 1. Also, you can do Shakedown Cruise Commander, so whenever you reveal a speed of 4 or higher, place 3 time tokens, and then perform a 4 bank and rotate the ship 90 degrees. And then you can do Maxwell Force as your action. And if your 90-degree spin didn't put you in the correct position that you wanted for your firing arcs, well, Maxwell Force can definitely be sure to make your firing arcs matter. Next captain in the pack is Erica Hernandez. Skill 5, Elite Talent slot, cost of 3, restricted to NX class ships only. Add 1 crew upgrade to the ship's upgrade bar. A friendly NX ships within range 1 may use the effect of Federation crew upgrades equipped to the ship as though they are equipped to their ship instead. If they do, place 1 additional time token on that upgrade. So, thematically speaking, this card reminds me of the episode where the Columbia and the NX-01 are flying tandemly, kind of one's upside down, one is not, and they have a tether in between them, and Charles Tucker's going between the ships, kind of lending his hand to the Enterprise after being transferred to the Columbia. That's kind of what this reminds me of. She's allowing her crew to reach out and help friendly ships. So, of course, the top 3 cards are the 3 cards, the 3 ships that she can only go on. There's no way to break that restriction for her, so she is limited there. And then you've got Ezri Dax, who is a card that she can lend out and use, along with Nyota Uhura, the one that extends the range on upgrades. So Nyota Uhura targets your ship, but again, Erica Hernandez allows you to reach out and use it as if it was on your ship. Same with Hoshi Sato, who, again, we'll talk about here in a little bit. Alright, next captain on the list is James T. Kirk. Skill 8, 2 elite talent slots, cost of 5. Very simple ability here. Reveal dial step, place 2 time tokens on this card, and rotate this ship's maneuver to a different maneuver. Tell me, what simpler ability couldn't bleed more Kirk if it tried? This is absolutely James T. Kirk's bread and butter. This is a thematic ability through and through. I'm very happy with this card, and it's very simple, but it's something that can affect the game very, very much. So 2 time tokens isn't a lot. So you got cards like Ezri Dax, who says, okay, place 1 less time token on this captain upgrade. So now James T. Kirk can reoccur every round. On top of that, you can pair James T. Kirk with Admiral Maxwell Forrest. So you can change your maneuver and then do a Forrest move after. Or you can do any of these increase, decrease movement speeds of your movement cards. So you get to change your revealed dial, and then you flip that dial, and you're still able to activate Geordie LaForge, Helmsman, Chemosite, or Jenkins to increase the speed of that movement. So, say you planned one thing, like, okay, I'm going to do a 1 bank here, because you're trying to think of what your opponent's going to do, and you're trying to put your ship in the best spot possible. But, oh no, that opponent who's a lower captain skill than me moves first, and oh, they moved right into my way, or they moved just out of arc. They're dodging me. But if I did this maneuver, I'd still have them in arc. So when it came to James T. Kirk's turn, you can be like, all right, slap 2 time tokens on him, take 1 off for Ezri, and change your dial, and bing, bang, boom, Kirk's got him in range again, or in arc again. Big fan of this card. I am. We've had a lot of good James T. Kirks. The animated Kirk is a really good one that I'm a big fan of. The Kirk from the HMS Bounty was actually not that bad of a Kirk, but I think this Kirk takes the cake. I know there used to be tier lists that were out there. I don't know if they ever tier list all of the Kirks, but to me, this is going to be your S tier Kirk. This is your top tier, top shelf Kirk, if you will. Alright, so the next captain in the pack, actually it's an admiral, excuse me. So the next admiral in the pack, so I did combine the captains and admirals together in this one just because they are flip cards themselves. And I am enjoying the fact that the admirals and the captains have different abilities. That kind of started with Ships of the Line, and I like to see that it's been carried through. On top of that, the admirals are getting different artwork, which has also been carried on through Ships of the Line. So as you notice, the last card, the last James T. Kirk we saw, had kind of the, the maroon monsters. This card's got your this card has got your the motion picture pajamas uniform on, which is a movie that was not very much touched in this, and I do like that the artwork has come from that as a source. Not my favorite Star Trek movie, but it is a movie that is not the worst either. So, Admiral James T. Kirk does not give you any skill boosts. So interesting there, but it kind of makes sense because he was not that great as an admiral. He was the head of Starfleet Command, took over the Enterprise during the V'ger crisis, but didn't really know the Enterprise anymore. So he hadn't been to space in a couple of years. Was the admiral in Wrath of Khan, and quite frankly, got caught with his pants down. His words. He just wasn't a great admiral, and ended up breaking general orders, and getting demoted. So a +0 to your captain skill makes sense here. So looking at the abilities, we got add +2 to the ship's upgrade bar, 2 crew upgrades, I should say. Makes complete total sense to me. When defending, if the ship is within range of a non-minefield obstacle, so that's range 1 to 2, roll +1 defense die. In addition, if the attacking ship is either a Klingon or a Federation ship, you may re-roll a blank. So non-minefield obstacle would be your planet obstacle tokens. That would be any of your obstacle tokens from the starter packs, your derelict ships, your space stations, your asteroids, your debris fields. Gather Forces Step. Now this is an interesting one. So Gather Forces Step, again, is kind of a new call out. It's this new thing. We saw it in Lost in the Delta Quadrant, where they were talking about fleet construction. Gather Forces Step and fleet construction is kind of the same area of the game, where you're building your fleet versus actually coming to the table and sitting down. So Gather Forces area, or Gather Forces Step. If this card is equipped to a Constitution class, your fleet may include one additional Federation Admiral with a cost of 4 SP or less. Both Admirals may not be equipped to the same ship. So you get to have an additional Admiral in your fleet, something that we have never seen before in Attack Wing. So, as you can see, I've got 2 Constitution classes here. I have the Constitution class refit, and then just a standard Constitution class. Now, I did this because I wanted to pull attention to the ship icon in the left bottom corner. And you'll notice that ship icon is the same icon. So, technically, this James T. Kirk is going to work on either a refit or a Constitution class. Just the generic. Or not the generic, just the original Constitution class. The tiny prize version of it, if you will. So, there are a lot of admirals out there that, believe it or not, are not 4 or less. There's a lot of them that cost 5. But I think one of the interesting ones that cost 4 or less that I looked at was Elena Nechayev. So you can target a ship, and she allows you to target ships within range 1 to 2 of her and increase the captain skill by a certain amount. So it's kind of an interesting foil for James T. Kirk. And then, of course, he's got defense in mind. So your captains and your crew who are going to provide defense die boosts are kind of ones that you want in your stable. All right, moving on to the next captain, we've got an errata card. So again, this is a replacement of Mr. Spock, the captain. So this old one is no longer used for play. As a matter of fact, all of the text on the new card replaces the old card. Um, so as you can see on the left, the new card becomes a little bit more expensive, gains a captain skill, and gains an ability. So we've got a skill 7, elite talent slot, Federation Vulcan dual faction, cost 5, Mr. Spock here, planning phase. Once per game, you may cancel any active negotiations in play. The controlling players may activate their negotiation effect targeting a different ship. So again, this is a kind of a brand new thing to the game we're seeing, where all of a sudden you can say, all right, nope, we're gonna cancel our negotiations and we're gonna renegotiate. But you have to choose a different ship. So for this first ability here, uh, ambassador cards like Cord, where you have to plan your maneuver dial face up, or the opponent gets to plan the maneuver dial. You can now target pretty much 2 ships in the opponent's fleet with Cord. So you can do that round 1, practically. Sarek is another one where you can change who you're targeting, and Neelix is kind of in the same boat. So Spock's second ability is free action. Perform either the target lock action or the scan action as a free action. So Mr. Spock is going to work well with the Taccumbra because he is a Vulcan captain, so he's going to get discounted there. But he also provides a scan action as a free action. So you can place the scan token, the Taccumbra fires off and does 2 scans, and then you've got a Taccumbra with 3 scans running around. He also pairs well with Tuvok. So Tuvok will disable to do the battle station's action, and then you get to do another action on a Federation crew upgrade. But you pair Mr. Spock, Tuvok, and Imrest together. Imrest will bring Tuvok back for placing the battle station's token, and Mr. Spock can get your free target lock action. So you'll have target lock and battle stations going into the combat phase. So again, a couple of routes that I was going with combos for Mr. Spock. As I've already stated, you've got the Taccumbra, utilizing Tuvok to get your battle stations action. So Mr. Spock would get you your target lock, and then you would, because that's a free action, so you would free action Spock, get the target lock done, and then you would go and use Tuvok to get the battle stations. Or you can use Mr. Spock to get the scan, Tuvok to get the target lock or battle station, and then use 7 to activate the scan again. No, I'm sorry, you can't do it that way. Let me clear my head for a minute. Okay. So, you would free action, target lock with Spock, and then as your action, disable Tuvok to do the battle station action, and then get to do a free action for your crew, for your Federation crew, which would be 7 of 9 who would activate the scan action. So the Taccumbra would have a target lock, a battle station, and 2 scan tokens. And then if you also had Imrest in there, if you found a way to get a third crew slot added in there, Imrest would be able to re-enable Tuvok if you placed a battle station token. Kind of the same thought if you're going with the Enterprise E, where the E doesn't need a target lock to fire photon torpedoes. But you could use that target lock to re-roll blanks if you're not using the standard Federation photon torpedoes. So just food for thought on different combos and things you can look for. I do think that this Mr. Spock is better than the older Captain Spock that we had. So the next captain we have here is Pavel Chekhov, and there is a typo in the card here that drives me insane. We have an extra C. Should be Chekov, Chekhov, not Chekhov. But it was missed at the printer, so we all have a misprinted Pavel Chekhov. Skill 6, elite talent slot, cost of 4. Check for power strain step. So again, we've got this new. It's not really new, but it's kind of new where they're calling out this specific step. The check for power strain step has always been in the game. It's just never been called out. Like, it's just something that we naturally do after we do a green maneuver or any maneuver. We check for power strain. But now this is saying, hey, right here in this step. So check for power strain, place an aux power token beside the ship, and apply the corresponding effect based on the difficulty of the ship's maneuver. So green, you get to repair a hull. On a white maneuver, you get to repair one shield. And on a red maneuver, you get to place an evade token beside the ship. Now, the way I read this card, yes, if you do a red maneuver, you can still activate Pavel Chekhov. So he's going to be the one of the only cards in the game where you did a red maneuver and you still are going to get some kind of token out of it. You're going to pay for getting that evade though with 2 auxes, because you still get the aux from the red maneuver, and then you're going to get the aux from the Chekhov. So again, there are plenty of ways in the game today that can deal with those auxes. Montgomery Scott is a good example where you can place 2 auxes on him whenever you would place an aux beside the ship. So you can place both of those auxes that you got from that red maneuver right there on Montgomery Scott, and then if you've got a Federation or a construction card equipped, you can hand those auxes off to enemy ships. Worf can get rid of them, Harry Ken can get rid of them. There's multiple ways to get rid of auxes. Alright, next card in the captains here is Hikaru Sulu. Skill 6, Elite Talent, cost of 3, and then we have this new ability called Obstruct. So what is Obstruct? So on the new rules card, Obstruct is when a line of fire crosses over the obstacle or ship with the Obstruct keyword, the defending ship rolls additional defense dice equal to the number listed after the Obstruct. So, for example, if the USS Excelsior was in between the enemy ship and another friendly ship, and that enemy ship is attacking that other friendly ship, and the line of fire from corner base to corner base, closest base to closest base to the corners, crosses over the Excelsior at any point, that defending ship gets to roll +1 defense dice because it's Obstruct 1. The 1 means +1 defense die. So kind of a neat ability. Again, I think it's the only one in the game right now. I don't recall seeing this on any other cards, but it's something to look forward for in the future. And then he's got another ability here. Each time a friendly ship within range suffers damage, this ship may perform either a 1 bank left or right white maneuver. So that's range 1 to 2. So pretty much thematic to the Excelsior coming in Star Trek 6, where the Enterprise A is taking a beating and the Excelsior comes in to save the day. So what cards work well with this? Again, we're talking about our cards that are going to affect movement. Specifically, you got your combat phase movements. Sarita Carson's going to work well here. That's a red maneuver, though. You got Maxwell Forrest, who can probably inch Sulu a little closer, or at least maybe put him in the line of fire. And then you've got George Sanders, who can be on a different ship, both having Sulu and Sanders moving after a friendly ship gets hit. And then, of course, you can put Sulu on the Sutherland and kind of beef it up with the shields. That way, it's kind of meant to be in the way. So that's an interesting thought as well. Alright, so we're not done with the captains yet. We've got styles. Skill 6, Elite Talent, cost of 4, Activation Phase. Target another ship within range and choose one of the following effects. And that's range 1 to 3. Keep that in mind. So 1, the captain equipped to the target ship reduces its captain skill by 3 this game round. Or, the admiral equipped to the target ship cannot use its printed text or have its fleet action be used this game round. So Styles does 2 things here, and I think one of them is better than the other, but they're both interesting nonetheless. So his first ability is to reduce the captain skill by 3. Now notice it doesn't say printed skill, so that is going to be looking at somebody like, I put Gen Con here, the promo, where Con looks for the highest captain skill on the board and replaces his. So let's say Styles targets Con with that reduce his captain skill by 3. So Khan looks out and says, oh, here's a skill 11, takes the skill 11, and then has to minus 3 from that skill. So now he's a skill 8, which could change somebody's plans, because that's kind of the name of the game lately is who has the higher captain skill gets to attack first and kind of control the game that way. But now we're starting to see these cards where captain skill is not going to matter so much if you're running these cards. It's going to be who can attack in the order they need to attack in. Um, Styles allows you to kind of pull Khan and rein Khan back in a little bit, and that's kind of cool. But on top of that, his second ability can stop admirals from doing things. So you've got an Aberrantane that likes to attack in the activation phase, or yeah, that likes to attack free fleet action. It's a free fleet action attack, so it's after it moves, after the ship activates. An Aberrantane can go off. You got Shinzon who can do his fleet action. You got Carr, the brand new Hirogen Admiral that has a fleet action. Admiral Worf from the Mirror Universe, or Admiral Gavron. Styles stops all of that. And notice it says activation phase. It doesn't say after the ship reveals its maneuver dial. So it's at the start of the activation phase. And then it's range 1 to 3. So it has a huge range, a huge reach out to kind of affect some of these cards. Like Khan recalculates his captain skill at the beginning of every round. So Styles would hit Khan, and Khan would still activate, but in the combat phase, Khan would take that hit on his captain skill and have to fire at a skill 8 in my example that I gave. So the next captain in the pack is John Harriman. Skill of 5, elite talent slot, cost of 3, free action, place 2 time tokens on this card, and perform the action on a Federation crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. So I'm not going to lie to you guys, I struggled a little bit when reading this card. I was thinking, man, why would I put 2 time tokens on Harriman to then target a crew to do an action when I could just do the action with the crew? Because I kept reading it and reading it again in my head, and then the light bulb went on. It was like, oh, Harriman allows you to do other things, and then you can do the free action, or vice versa. So, for example, you can do Admiral Worf from the Mirror Universe. With your action on your ship, you can hit Worf to do a attack against the ship, and then you can place 2 time tokens on Harriman to do a free action from any of your crew, so that you get the benefit of doing 2 actions. So it's very. At first, I didn't like the card. I actually really like the card. I really do like the design of the card now. You pair him with Ezri Dax, who says place 1 less time token on captains. Boom, John Harriman's going to fire off every round. You're going to get a free action, 2 actions practically every round. It's going to pair well with Commander, Tuvok, 7 of 9, even the Hikaru Sulu from the Mirror Universe. So you do something like this. You hit. So let's use this as an example here. You have John Harriman as your captain. You've got Hikaru Sulu and Tuvok and Emrys as your crew. So you activate Hikaru Sulu with your action. So you're going to disable Sulu to acquire a target lock on the enemy ship within range 1 to 3. And then you get to do an action on your action bar as a free action. Okay, so then you choose to do a, let's just say an evade. Or you can do a battle stations action to clear Sulu. No, you don't want to do a battle station. So you do a scan token with Sulu. Scan or evade, doesn't matter. And then you disable, or you put 2 time tokens on Harriman, but Ezri Dax says, nope, take one of those off. And Ezri Dax is involved here because she gives her crew slot out. Then you disable Tuvok as your free action to get that battle stations token. That's a lot of points to spend doing that, but that is an example of something you can do here. So the next captain in our fleet is Jean-Luc Picard. Skill 9, elite talent slot, cost of 6. Each time an opposing effect would discard, steal, or place any time tokens or disable tokens on a crew upgrade equipped to this ship, you may have a weapon upgrade equipped to the ship become the target instead. So all those cards that target crew, you may say, whoa, 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 whoa. You're gonna leave my crew out of this. You're gonna look at my weapon upgrades instead. Kind of a diplomacy type thing. And then free action. If equipped to a Federation ship, place either a battle stations or an evade token besides this ship. So he provides a little bit of defense, much like how Janeway does against these cards that like to target crew and disable crew and discard crew or put time tokens on crew. So the next captain in the pack here is Edward Jellicoe. Skill 6, elite talent slot, cost of 4, can only be equipped to a ship with a hull value of 5 or plus. So severely limits where he can go in the Federation fleet, or really on any ship in the game, but it's for good reason. Action. Place a time token on a Federation crew upgrade equipped to the ship and target an opposing ship within range 1 to 2. The captain equipped to the target ship cannot use its printed ability or any elite talent upgrades equipped to this game, or equipped to it this game round. That's huge. So now Jellicoe, using his diplomacy that he used against the Cardassians, undercuts all of these captains that I have listed here. And notice that that's a skill 6. So he's not really going to affect Worf, who's a skill 3, which is why I put him here. I wanted to point that out specifically. So Worf is a skill 3, meaning he would have already activated and gone. But anybody that's higher than Jellicoe, so say you have an initiative tie, it's Jellicoe and Turan. Jellicoe would be moving first, so that means the enemy has the opposing player has initiative. So Jellicoe's on night shift. Jellicoe can target Turan and say, alright, you're not using your ability this round. Or he can target any of these other captains that have higher captain skill. Granted, Khan has a printed skill of 6, but again, as we discussed, he changes his captain skill to the highest captain skill on the board. What Jellicoe does to Khan is blanks that out, and this will drop his captain skill from the highest captain skill on the board back down to a 6 for the round, starting in the combat phase. So he is an interesting, again, another card that's targeting these specific captains and just shutting them down. And I very much am a fan of Edward Jellicoe. Then we have William T. Riker, skill 6, elite talent slot, cost of 3. Planning phase. Place 3 time tokens on this card and place a night shift token on up to 2 crew upgrades equipped to this ship. It's a continuous effect. The crew upgrades with a night shift token on them gain the following ability. During the night shift, spend a night shift token on this card to perform it as a free action. So again, night shift, just as a reminder, is the time when you do not have the initiative token. As you can see, I have provided a copy of what the night shift token looks like. It is on the back of the initiative token, so you can flip it over when you do not have initiative to let you know that you have night shift. So again, Ezri Dax works here well. And then you've got things like Hikaru Sulu, Commander, and Tuvok that are all actions to do things, but you get to do them as free actions when they have those tokens on them. So very interesting ability, something very new. Probably better than some of the Rikers we have. I'm still a big fan of the Hathaway Riker and the Mirror Universe version of the Captain from Assimilation Target Prime. Now we've got Data, skill 4, cost of 2, no elite talent slot, and then Night Shift. So when you do not have the initiative token, you treat Data with a captain skill of 5. So he's got one of those flexing captain skills again, much like Harry Kim from Lost in the Delta Quadrant. After the ship executes a reverse maneuver, okay, so here's how you're supposed to read the card. After the ship executes a reverse maneuver, place a battle stations token besides the ship. When you're on night shift, any red maneuver, place a battle stations token besides this ship. So, interesting ability there. Again, looking at, of course, reverses are typically red maneuvers. So again, you're looking at how to get rid of Oxes. You've got plenty of ways to do that with these cards listed here. So the last captain in this pack is Geordi LaForge. Whenever this ship would overlap an obstacle, disable one shield on this ship at range 1. This ship does not skip its perform action step and does not suffer damage from that obstacle. So he is that ability is reflecting his time as the navigator for the Enterprise D, which is nice and thematic. Again, in kind of rolling this back a little bit, he's a skill 4, no elite talent slot, cost of 2. So he does have an ability here that is a night shift ability. Again, meaning you do not have the initiative this round. Action. Target a cloak ship within range and place an Aux power token besides this ship. Place an Aux power token besides the target ship and then discard their cloak token. The target may raise its shields. So basically, if you're not on night shift, Geordi LaForge is going to reach out and turn off your cloak. Now, I did not include a card in here that I just realized is a fairly good combo with this, but you're only going to be able to use it one time to turn off a couple of cloaks, and that is Coffee Black. So you can use Coffee to... You'd have to discard Coffee to keep Night Shift, and then you can reactivate Geordi LaForge in the next round and knock off another cloak token from another ship. Why would you do that? Because cloak ships are glass cannons, and if you can get enough hits through them, they're gonna die anyway. Well, there is a lot of defense dice that come with cloak tokens, so there is some credence to the thought that, well, if I decloak this ship right in front of me and I hit them really hard, A, they lose all that defense dice, and B, I might strip their shields and they may not be able to cloak ever again. So there's kind of, food for thought with that as well. I like Geordi LaForge. I like what he does. Again, a smaller skilled captain. I do think if he were to target a ship with a higher captain skill that is cloaked, decloak them, I believe they are able to recloak that same round. They can do that as their action. So he may work better if you boost his captain skill to maybe a 7, as high as it could go. But even that will be tricky because a lot of higher skilled captains are wanting to be on cloaked ships. So I think there's a way around it. There's definitely a method to the madness here. So I believe that is the last captain in this pack. So next we will be moving on to upgrades. So the first upgrade of the pack here is going to be T'Pol. Her text reads, add 1 crew slot to the ship's upgrade bar. Action, increase the captain skill of the captain equipped to the ship by 2, and then place a scan token besides the ship. Then she's got the brand new first officer keyword ability here. If the captain equipped to the ship is discarded, flip this card over and equip this card as the captain. So let's talk about that last ability there. That's part of some of the new things that are coming in this faction pack. You can see the rules card here on the bottom right. We've had a version of the first officer ability in the game for quite a while. If you think about like the old Tarange card, where you can discard your captain and then that card would take over as skill 5. But this takes it one step further because it allows you to flip this crew card over, which has the captain side on the back, and utilize the captain side as your captain versus just a straight skill 5 no ability. So you'll be able to use T'Pol's ability. So kind of cool mechanic there. We're going to see it a bunch more in this pack. I think that's brilliant, and it's a much better version of what we had. Now the action part of it. So you have to increase your captain skill by 2 and then place a scan token. So notice it's an action to do that, right? So you can get cards that give you free crew actions to do that. There are cards in the game right now that boost the captain skill passively, but they don't give you the action part of it, the scan token. And notice it's place a scan token, it's not do the scan action as a free action. So T'Pol gives you a captain skill boost and then a scan token for those scan shenanigans that happen a lot in this game. So what cards work well with it? Well, the brand new Enterprise A, T'Pol really likes that ship. Enterprise A likes scan tokens for attacking vessels at range, or just when attacking. You get +1 for a scan token and then +2 for cloaked ships. And then you got the USS Da Vinci. If there's a scan token besides the ship, target an opposing ship within range 1 to 2, and place one time token on the target ship's card. You may spend that scan token besides the ship to disable one weapon upgrade to the target ship as well. So the Da Vinci, Paul gives the Da Vinci an ability to just shut a ship's text off. You're thinking like Luren's Bird of Prey, or any of those annoying ships that give out symmetry or any kind of synergy. That's what I'm looking for. Um, well, she works well with Harry Kim, so each time a scan token is placed, you get to remove a disable token from a Federation or tech upgrade. Uh, Theoderic Patterson is another captain that she's going to work well with. You get to roll +1 defense dice and reroll up to 2 blanks. And then you've got Chakotay, who also likes to add crew and likes to have a scan token so you can't cancel a hit or a crit. Alright, moving into the next crew. So we've got errata cards in this pack, and this is going to be the first one for the crew. This is going to be an errata of the old Mr. Spock, which got a lot of play back in the day. Still gets to see the table now and again, but this new Mr. Spock takes over. Uh, so, as you can see, the text is practically the same. There is some cleaned up wording here, along with an extra ability, and then he is dual factioned now. So, when attacking, if there is a scan token besides the ship, convert each battle station into a hit, and then if equipped to a Constitution class, this attack cannot be cancelled. So, he's also got the first officer key ability, which we just covered with T'Pol. So we're going to look at the first half of his ability on his card here. So he obviously likes to work with the Enterprise A. The only thing is to get that to work really well, you have to have 2 scan tokens because you can only have 1 effect per token. But notice that the icon on the Constitution class refit and then the Constitution class, just the old version, the tiny prize version, if you will, are the same icon, meaning that Mr. Spock works on both of those ships. So he's not limited to just the few Constitution class refits we have if you're talking about his attack not being able to get canceled. So Mr. Spock obviously pairs well with Animated Kirk, where you can place a scan token or a battle stations token and then do an action off another crew. So you can have the Enterprise A with Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and then Science Officer. Uh, Obviously, Captain Kirk would take the scan action, and then you would get a free action off a crew upgrade, which would be the Science Officer to place two more scan tokens. So you'd have 3 scan tokens, and you'd have 1 left over for whatever effect you like. Obviously, the Jacumbra is another ship that Mr. Spock's going to excel on. Uh, he is a Vulcan crew, so the Jacumbra would go ahead and discount him down to a 4 SP, and then whenever the ship performs a scan action, place an additional scan token besides the ship. So you could pair Mr. Spock with a Tacumbra and like the Beta Hirogen to get the same amount of tokens you would with the Kirk Science Officer Enterprise A combo. All right, so we got another errata card. This is going to be the old Pavel Chekhov. As you can see, again, same costing. The wording here is going to be cleaned up just a little bit, gives it an actual step to check for. And then he gets the first officer keyword ability as well. So, check for power strain step. If the ship performed a white maneuver, remove an aux power token from besides this ship. If equipped to a Miranda class, place a scan token besides this ship. So he's going to work really well on Miranda class ships, anything in the Miranda class line. You've got the Reliant, the Tiananmen. Those are the only 2 I can think of right this second that we have. But they work really well with this. He's going to get to place a scan token along with removing that Aux power token. Uh, one of the ships he's going to work well with are those ships that make you place an Aux power token to do things, like the Intrepid with its free action. Pavel Chekhov gives all of these ships the flexibility to not have to do a green maneuver to get rid of those Aux power tokens. Again, another older card that has reach into today's game. Um, just being able to get rid of those Aux power tokens from those ships without having to do a green maneuver is huge. All right, so the next crew is going to be Hikaru Sulu. Again, another errata version and a cleaned up text here. Same action, same text, just different. So the new card does replace the old card. So Hikaru Sulu, action. Roll +2 defense dice and convert 1 battle stations to an evade when defending this game round. Alright, so the first line of cards there are the cards that are going to give you defense to kind of cap you off at the rule of 3. So Hikaru Sulu pairs well with Hood Riker, mainly because you'd be at the cap of the rule of 3 for rolling dice. But you also would be able to convert 2 battle stations to evades. One off of Sulu and then one off of Riker. You can always pair him with Tom Paris, but that's a little more expensive than just Riker. Clark Terrell somewhere in your fleet will give him that extra defense dice. You could do Theoderic Patterson, but you have to get a scan token from somewhere. That's not going to be Sulu because Sulu is an action, so you're going to have to get it from a free action. And then, of course, he works well with Jean-Luc Picard, who also rolls +1 defense dice against a specific ship. And then you've got Terrell here, who also converts battle stations to invade. So all these cards are very defense-minded, and Sulu pairs very, very well with them. Oh, this is just kind of an example build of what I would call the Southern Knot, where it's hard to get to Sutherland, or it's hard to get through to the Sutherland. So Sulu is a big part of this build. So you're going to have the USS Sutherland, which has when defending, cancel one hit. And then you're going to have Sulu and Riker giving it 3 dice during the defense round. So you're going to be rolling 4 defense dice. And then on top of that, you want to build its shields up. So you've got upgrade, systems upgrade, and reinforced shields to give it a grand total of 7 shields. Bots comes in to bring in an extra tech slot for you to get shield adaptation. And man, I've run this ship a couple times on the board, and it's a monster to try and just eat through those shields and get through to that ship. Because it's rolling so many defense dice and it's also canceling a hit just on its own. So it's like an extra defense die, an extra evade there. Alright, the next upgrade here, again, is another errata, taking the William T. Riker from the Enterprise E release and kind of redoing his text as well. There is some differences on this card, mainly that they took off the tech slot, so he's not able to do an action off a tech slot any longer. But he does gain the first officer keyword. So, add 1 crew to the ship's upgrade bar, free action, disable this card, and perform the action listed on a captain, elite talent, or crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. If this captain is equipped to a ship, is discarded, flip this card over, and this becomes its captain. So again, first officer keyword, really cool ability, really like that. Now keep in mind you have to disable the card, so you'll have to have some sort of disable savior here, like Beverly Crusher or Phlox or Leonard McCoy, any of them. And then you got James T. Kirk, who's going to pair well with this card too, where it allows you to place a scan token, do a battle stations token, and then perform the action of a crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. So you could do James T. Kirk as your action, and then disable Riker to do your elite talent action, or a crew action, or again, Picard, same thing. Place 2 time tokens on this and place battle station tokens besides the ship and all target ships. Same kind of concept there. allows Chakotay to do things. So you can place 2 time tokens equipped to the target ship by placing 3 time tokens on this card. So Riker would give Chakotay, an extra round to reach out and hit people. But of course, Riker and Chakotay both bring crew slots, so they kind of fit into each other, kind of like a nice little nesting egg. And then, of course, you've got the elite talents that he can do. Task Force Commander, Make It So, Engage. Riker's just one of those kind of versatile cards that allows you to do a lot of things if you need options. Alright, and then we've got Data coming in. Combat phase. Place 2 time tokens on this card and spend a battle station token besides this ship. Repair 1 shield on this ship. If this card is equipped to a Federation ship, repair 2 shields instead. So Data definitely likes the Year of Hell Voyager, where you can kind of sit back with Voyager, don't run into battle, and kind of heal with Data. Data will at least help you repair your shields quicker. He's going to want to be paired with Ezri Dax and Tuvok. Tuvok to give you that scan, Ezri Dax to let the time tokens be reduced down to just 1 time token, so you can use him every round. Again, T'Pol is an interesting card to pair with Data, as T'Pol would give that scan token that he wants to use without having to disable the card. So you could replace Tuvok with T'Pol in the build. And then an interesting kind of thought experiment I had here was Kempek. He's a card that I really haven't played much with because I don't want to spend the points to recur a shield. But if you have somebody like Riker who's on your ship and Data, right, you can take the scan action with your ship to get that scan token, and then you can use Riker, disable him to get Kempek to go off, where you're going to spend a shield token from the ship and then place 3 time tokens or 3 evade tokens next to your ship. So you get 3 evades. On top of that, at the start of the combat phase, you place 2 time tokens on Data, and Data repairs that shield that you just spent. So for an action, you get 3 evades, and you actually don't spend anything because you're recurring it back with Data. You are losing the scan token, but you're gaining 3 evade tokens. So kind of an interesting thought experiment, kind of an interesting combo that is kind of out there. It takes some finagling to make it work, but 3 evades and put that on a pretty defensible ship. That could again cause problems for a lot of people. All right, the next crew here is Geordi LaForge. Action: perform a green maneuver on this ship's maneuver dial. So Geordi LaForge is fairly simple. He's an extra movement card, which we've seen a lot of these in the game recently. So that's going to be kind of a new, interesting meta that's going to be appearing, where ships are just going to be moving whenever they want to. So James T. Kirk, the animated version, works well with LaForge because you can then get a scan or a battle station and then do LaForge's action as the free action. Tuvok is another one where you disable Tuvok, you get a target lock or a battle station, and then perform the action on a crew as a free action. Jonathan Archer, again, you get to perform an action listed up to 2 Federation crew upgrades, but you have to disable those upgrades. And then these cards down here at the bottom are just extra movement cards, kind of in the same vein as LaForge. Sulu is anytime friendly ship in range suffers damage, and keep in mind that damage can be minefield damage. It can be like hidden explosives from in the planning phase. It could be there's that one damage card that allows you to roll a dice in the planning phase to see if you get a hit. I don't remember if it's console fire. It might be console fire. But George Sanders, same thing as Sulu. Then Tom Paris allows you to move in the combat phase. So you could have Sulu LaForge, and Paris all on the same ship, and your ship's going to move in the planning phase if the console fire or something goes off on a friendly ship, and then you move in the activation phase, and then you move again in the activation phase of the action, and then if you have an evade, you can move again in the combat phase. That's 4 movements in one round for that ship. That's crazy. You put it on like the IRW Saran or something, that could, after it attacks and does a green maneuver, that could be 5 maneuvers done in a round. Um, Interesting, again, thought experiments going on here. Um, yep, here's another one that I thought of was Jonathan Archer performing 2 Federation crew upgrades. You'd have to disable both LaForge and Mayweather, but LaForge will allow you to do a green maneuver on your ship's maneuver dial, and then Mayweather will allow you to do the red come about, and then you get the evade token. Uh, it's not really a come about; it's whatever they're calling the swing one. I know I have it in the slide. It is the full about. It's being called the full about maneuver. So, if your ship doesn't have a come about, this might be an option for you. So, speaking of Travis Mayweather, here he is. Action: perform a 1 full about maneuver, and then place an evade token besides this ship. Again, definitely likes the NX-01. Archer to Paul, giving those free actions. You could do Riker. Then, of course, Inspiring is a talent you can look at with those captains to remove that aux power that you're going to get from the red maneuver. And then down there in the bottom right of your screen, I've got kind of what the maneuver looks like on the table. If you do it from either side, either way. Um, so it's pretty interesting to note. Next crew is going to be Malcolm Reed. You may equip the phase cannons upgrade to the ship for free without requiring an upgrade slot. Action: you may convert 1 blank to 1 hit and 1 battle station to a hit when attacking this game round. So phase cannons are locked to NX class ships only. You may perform a second attack with your primary weapon. So he definitely likes the Enterprise NX-01, the NX-02, and then the NX class. Just giving a lot of quality to this attack, and then of course it's when attacking, so it's every time you attack. So if you do a secondary attack with phase cannons, Malcolm Reed's going to give you some quality of that too. So I apologize if I seem like I'm speeding through. There are a lot of crew upgrades to get through here. We've got the next one is going to be Charles Tucker, who can only be equipped to ships with a hull of 3 or less. After this ship executes a maneuver, disable this card. Remove an aux power token from beside this ship. If you do, you may perform an additional maneuver with a speed of 1 on your maneuver dial. So Tucker likes ships that are hull of 3 or less. Well, you got the Defiant class, you got the NX class, you got the Burrell class. Those are all hull 3 or less ships. The Burrell class has those red come-abouts, so you could execute the maneuver, place the aux power token, and then disable Tucker to remove that aux power token. You get to choose the operation of that, and that's how that goes. Of course, you can save him from being disabled with any of the Beverly Crushers, or Julian Bashir targeting him from either his ship or a friendly ship. Alright, so the next set of cards here, we've got Jay Hayes. Increase the captain skill of the captain equipped to the ship by 1. Action: discard this card and target an opposing ship within range 1 to 2. Discard the crew upgrade equipped to the target ship. So, Beverly Crusher, Goval can save him from discarding. But then, of course, you got other cards that would like to do the same thing. You've got Second of 5, who can target something and get rid of it. So if you've got like Jonathan Archer that we just talked about, where you're allowed to do 2 crew upgrades, Jay Hayes, Second of 5, those are the 2 you can do. You got Kieran Reese, who's a free action. You can disable attack equipped, And then roll an attack die on a hit or crit, discard another crew. You got Maxwell Burke, and then Yeto, who also well, Yeto disables or steals a crew. Maxwell steals a crew as well. So lots of pairing options, kind of along the same lines there. And then we've got one of the best cards in the pack because he is a good boy. You've got Porthos, who can only be equipped to a Federation captain. This card may be equipped to a ship with Jonathan Archer equipped without requiring an upgrade slot. So Jonathan Archer brings his own slot for Porthos. Thematic. Combat phase. Place 2 time tokens on this card. Remove a disabled token from the captain or Federation crew upgrade of the ship. So he's another card that's going to save you from being disabled, which is nice. And then you've got the 2 Jonathan Archers here that he'll be able to be equipped to without needing a slot. But he's also a crew. So Ezri Dex allows him to go off every round if you have her. And then, of course, he's just somebody who can save any of these crew down here that are all disabled. Alright, so we got another errata here. We got Phlox from the original NX01 release. And then you've got the new card. Again, same text, just the new card is a very cleaned up version of that text. So, free action. Disable this card. Remove all disabled tokens from each of your ships. Remove all disabled tokens from each of your other crew upgrades equipped to this ship. So, Julian Bashir is definitely going to help him out. You can do Beverly Crusher to save Phlox from getting disabled, or in turn, flip that, and Phlox can save Miles O'Brien, Beverly Crusher, Tuvok, William Riker, all in the same breath. I did look at the Christine Chapel down here in the bottom right-hand corner. She was an interesting card because you get to disable this card or place 3 time tokens on her, then target a crew upgrade equipped to the ship and remove a disabled token or all time tokens from the target crew upgrade. So the way this works is you can take Christine Chapel, disable her to re-enable Phlox, removing the disabled token, and then in the activation phase, do your actions, right? Do whatever action you need to disable whatever crew you have to. And then as the free action, Phlox to remove the disabled tokens from all those other crew that you disabled, and Christine Chapel. So the trade-off is that Phlox is now disabled, but Christine Chapel's back up. So in the next planning phase, you just reverse the roles again. You disable Chapel and re-enable Phlox to then again in the activation phase, re-enable Chapel to disable Phlox. That's kind of an interesting little synergy there. That's only 5 points. That's not too bad for crew. Okay, so we've got a pretty spicy card that we're gonna have to talk about what I mean by understanding the effect. So we got Hoshisato here. So activation phase, disable this card and target a ship within range 1 to 3. Decrease the range of all upgrades equipped to the ship by 1 this game round to a minimum of range 1. So if you target a ship and they have upgrades that have range 1, Hoshisato is not going to do anything. That's no effect. If they have upgrades that are range 2, they become range 1. If they have something with range 3, now those become range 2. If it has something with range 1 to 2, they become range 1. Range 1 to 3 becomes range 1 to 2. Range 2 to 3 becomes range 2. So you have to keep that in mind with all these upgrades. So you can target a friendly ship or you can target an enemy ship with Hoshisato. If you've got something that you're trying to do at range 1, but you can't quite get it, so Sato might help your friendly ship get it there. Or if maybe you're at range 3 and you're like, oh shoot, they're going to hit me with a torpedo fusillade. Sato could reach out and say, nope, you can only use torpedo fusillade at range 2. So she affects all of these cards here and kind of lowers them. So photon torpedoes, torpedo fuselage would only be allowed to work at range 2. Second of 5 would only be allowed to work at range 1. Telerate disruptor banks and science station would be range 1 to 2. B4 would just be range 2. Alright, the next crew in this pack is Rivers. After suffering any damage to your hull, discard this card and place one Ox Power token besides the ship. Repair one hull on your ship. Keep in mind that this is not going to save you if your ship receives the hull damage equal to the hull value of your ship. So Rivers, there's a place for him. And of course, one of the things that you don't want to do is get the Ox Power token. So I've got many ways here. You can remove the Ox. And then, of course, he's a discard, so you could use Beverly Crusher or Goval to save him. Some of these cards we're going to see repeated quite a bit. So, Leonard McCoy. In phase, spin a scan token besides the ship and remove a disabled token from a crew upgrade equipped to the ship. So, Leonard McCoy likes to reactivate, remove disabled tokens from cards for the cost of a scan. So really any of these cards here would allow you to have a scan at the end phase if you don't spend them during the combat phase. Next crew is going to be Nyota Uhura. Combat phase. Disable this card and target an opposing ship within range 1 that have any of the following tokens beside them. Battle Station, Scan, or Evade tokens. Discard all of the listed tokens besides the target ships until only one token remains besides each ship. So she is kind of this classification of card that I call is either token stealing or token denial, where she's just saying, nope, you cannot have that token. So cards like the Kaskari, where you can steal tokens, or Vorik, that can Vorik, Tau, Mortimer Heron, were just like, okay, great, you did that action, but I'm going to do this, and you can't use it, or you got to get rid of it. I kind of like that aspect of gameplay. I've been using it a lot in These Are The Voyages campaign that we've been running, and it's crazy how well it works. You wouldn't think until it actually happens. So, again, understanding the effect, this is kind of what it means. So you've got the Enterprise A and then the Reliant here. The Reliant's got a mess of tokens. So Nyota Uhura can target battle stations, scans, or evade tokens. So that target lock token that the Enterprise A has on the Reliant, you cannot target with Nyota Uhura. But you can go, okay, I don't want you to have that evade. I don't want you to have those two scan tokens. So that leaves you with the evade token. So that leaves you with the one token that remains besides the ship. So this is kind of what it looks like. Alright, next crew here is Montgomery Scott. Whenever you would place an Ox Power token besides the ship, place that token on this card to a max of 2. So you can only have 2 Ox Power tokens on the card. Action: place 2 time tokens on this card and target a ship with a construction upgrade equipped within range. If that ship is this ship or a friendly ship, it performs a 2 forward white. If that ship is an opposing ship, place any time Ox Power tokens from this card besides the target ship. So if you have a construction card, which I've got all of them listed here, you get rewarded. If your opponent has a construction card, they get punished by Mr. Scott. This is the same Scott from Ships of the Line, just different artwork and coming in a different pack. Again, Esri Dax plays a role here where you get to place 2 time tokens on Montgomery Scott, but Esri Dax says nope, you only get to place 1. And then the ship, if Montgomery Scott's on a ship that has Ferengi photon torpedoes, then you could give somebody an Ox Power in the activation phase and then come back in the combat phase and give them a second Ox Power to ensure that they're not going to be able to make an action in the next round. So, next new card is going to be Valeris. everyone's favorite Vulcan from Star Trek 6. Again, her wording is just cleaned up. You've got the new step identification there, and then it's just cleaned up better. She's also now dual factioned, so cards that give discounts to Vulcan specific cards can work here. So, check for power restraint step. If the ship performed a green maneuver, place an evade token besides the ship. And of course, Harry Kim, she works well with Harry Kim. After you remove an aux power token from beside the ship because you did a green maneuver, place an evade token besides this ship. And then of course if you're on night shift you get to do an evade token and a battle station. So it's possible that with Valeris clearing an aux power you get to place an evade, and then with Harry Kim you get to place an evade and a battle station. So you'll have two of them. Valeris naturally works well with Rudolph Ransom, where you can, if you have an evade token besides your ship, you get to roll +2 defense dice. So very defensible there. Science Officer allows you to spend scan tokens as if they were evade tokens as if they were scan tokens. And then Operations Officer allows you to spend an evade token to repair a shield on the ship. And then you got Tom Paris, where you can spend the scan token in the combat, or the evade token in the combat phase to do a sensor echo or a one bank left or right. And then you got Neelix too. He's an interesting one where if you have negotiations denied, you can choose to keep that evade token with you through the next end phase and then do another green maneuver to get another one from Valerius. Alright, next card is another errata one. This one is actually taking two Savick cards and combining them into one. So they both have the same ability, and then the new Savick is a cost of 2, which is a happy medium between the two cards. So definitely the bottom of Savick's ability is the very left card. The top ability is the Savick from the USS Grissom, the one on the right. So, when defending, if there is a planet obstacle within range, convert one blank to an evade, range 1 to 2. At any time, disable this card. You may replace a scan token or a battle station token beside your ship with an evade token. She is dual faction, Federation, Vulcan, coming in at 2 points. So the Tacumbra would bring her down to 1 point, and the Tacumbra would give her a reason to use her second ability, where you would have 2 scan tokens, and you can disable the card to replace that scan token with an evade if you needed it. Of course, same thing with Beta Hirogen or Chulak being out there. It's just these cards are all giving you the ability to utilize Savick's secondary ability there. Alright, here is another 10. Again, we've got another errata here. This is going to be Ilea. Really, this one was more for recosting than a card cleanup or word text cleanup. So her cost moves from 4 down to 2. So she works really well on Nova classes. She's kind of in this class of card where I would say this is for a newer person to the game, mainly because they will be able to do whatever they can. They may not be used to like the flight path system and kind of judging maneuvers and stuff, so they might hit things. So Ilea allows you to hit other ships, and the Nova class will allow you to hit obstacles and still be able to do actions and things like that. So very beginner game friendly stuff. And then we've got Sonak making his first appearance. Whenever the ship would repair any of its hull or shields, disable this card and place 2 scan tokens beside the ship instead. Well, we've got a lot of these cards now that repair things. You've got the USS Voyager, who likes to do that. Sonak makes a huge difference here, as the Voyager would be able to do that as an action. It increases its agility and repairs a hull or a shield. And then Sonak would place 2 scan tokens besides the Voyager. And sometimes that's a free action for Voyager. So Sonak gives Voyager a huge advantage there. The Exo Comp repairs damage, so you can do place 2 time tokens on the on Exo Comp, repair the hull damage, and then Sonak would place 2 scan tokens next to your ship. Same thing with Rivers. Anytime you suffer damage to your hull, you can place 2 scan tokens beside your ship for repairing that hull. And that's an interesting one because you could be attacked first in the combat phase. Use Rivers to save or to repair a hull, and then Sonak would place 2 scan tokens for your attack. So, say you're going to return fire against that ship. Now you've got 2 scan tokens that you didn't previously have. Um, that works also with Data. He's going to spend a scan token, repair a shield, or repair 2 shields, and then get 2 scan tokens in return. But of course, Sonak is a disable, so Leonard McCoy can spend one of those scan tokens that you just placed next to the ship with Sonak to re-enable him in the end phase. And of course, Harry Kim, if you do like a scan action or get another scan token, you can remove a disable token from another crew, which again, it can be Sonak, and then Sonak would replace that scan token when you've repaired your hull. Next crew is Demora Sulu. Action, place 2 time tokens on this card. Perform either a 1 left or right bank maneuver. Again, a card that falls into the I'm going to move whatever I want to move category. Esri Dax, you put her on the ship. That's a 4-point combo, but it allows you to use Demora Sulu every round. You pair her with somebody like James T. Kirk from this pack. You can change the maneuver dial, do the maneuver, and then use Demora to move even further. Or you got things like the Saran again. Combat phase you can move. Thomas Riker, the end phase, you can move. Hikaru Sulu and George Sanders, you can move if your ships get damaged or friendly ships in range get damaged. Tom Paris is at the top of the combat phase movement card. So interesting combinations you can do here. I'm telling you, there's probably a way to get you to move in every single round or every single phase inside of a round. So from planning to action to combat to end phase, there's 4 rounds. So I'm sure there's a way to get you to move 4 times or even more. We got another errata here. This is going to be Lozier. This is more of a card text cleanup for the errata here. So definitely bolding the when attacking and then just making it much easier and simpler to read. And I like this card art better, to be fair. So, Lozier, when attacking with a secondary weapon upgrade, you may disable this card instead of that upgrade. So he's going to work well with any of these weapon upgrades that want to disable themselves to be used. Federation photon torpedoes from the core starter sets. Additional phaser arrays. Mark 6 photon torpedoes. Multi-vector assault mode from Ships of the Line is an interesting one here. You got aft phaser emitter from the Mirror Universe side, and then chronoton torpedoes. He would prevent those from being disabled as well. But you would need a way to bring Lozier back, and we've already discussed multiple ways to do that between Beverly Crusher, either of the Crusher twins, or Bashir, Leonard McCoy now. There's a lot of ways. Phlox. There's a lot of ways to recur crew from their disabled status. The next crew upgrade is Janice Rand. Whenever you perform the action listed on a Federation Elite Talent upgrade, disable this card and place a Battle Stations token beside this card. Now, here's an interesting combo because, again, you get to choose the order of operation here. So Rand would disable herself because you did an action on a. So you say you did the Task Force Commander action. So Janice Rand would allow you to disable her to place that Battle Stations token. And then MRES says, well, you just placed a Battle Stations token, so you can go ahead and remove a disabled token from a crew upgrade. So all with that, you get Janice Rand back You get to recur her every round. Um, so you're going to get the free battle station each round for all the actions that you're taking. And of course, Task Force Commander is an interesting one here too, because you get to target up to two friendly ships. This ship and the target ship gain +1 attack and defense dice. If the target ships are in Federation, this ship and the target ships may perform a target lock action as a free action. So you could get a target lock action and then get Janice Rand to give you that battle station action for perfect quality on your ship. Um, just things to think about there. All right, so we've got another errata coming out of the Excelsior pack. This is the Dimitri Valtain one. Again, cleaning up the wording on the card, not really changing the cost, but they did, in fact, add the lower decks keyword here onto Dimitri Valtain. So that's the lower decks is the first instance we've seen in this pack so far, I believe. So just a reminder, lower decks. Up to 2 cards of the lower deck keyword may fill a single crew upgrade slot while equipped to the ship that they share a faction with. So if Valtain is on any kind of Federation ship, he can share a crew slot with somebody like Tuvok, uh, which is a huge points cost saving here. But again, Valtain, when attacking, if there's a scan token besides the ship, you may re-roll up to 2 of your attack dice. So he definitely wants to be a part of the scan shenanigans. You need to make sure you have multiple scan tokens next to your ship, so each effect can go off. And there are, again, multiple ways to do that. Captain James T. Kirk, Donald Varley, who gives you a free scan. Captain Spock gives you a free scan. You can do Tuvok. You can do Takumbra, who's going to place 2 scans when you do a scan action. There's a lot of ways to do this. Alright, so another errata is going to be Tuvok. Again, he didn't come from the Excelsior pack. He came from a prize pack from a while ago. So, again, he actually is a recosting, and his card is the wording on his card is changed. So at any time you may discard. Hold on. So they changed it from a discard to a disable. So planning phase, disable this card, place a scan token besides the ship, and he's a lower deck. So he can fit with Dimitri Valtain. Give Valtain the scan. Valtain will allow you to re-roll dice. You can put this Tuvok with Chakotay, and Tuvok will allow Chakotay to make sure that the hit or crit doesn't get canceled. Same with Patterson. Patterson rolls +1 defense die and up to 2 blanks. He gets a reroll. And of course, he works well with the Da Vinci, and then you've got the Nivar, who wants to have scan tokens to gain attack dice, and then the Kirshara. During the modify attack dice step, if there's a scan token besides the ship, he gets to convert 2 battle stations into 1 hit each. So again, lots and lots of combos with all these crew that are coming in. So here's another errata. This is the Deanna Troi from the Enterprise E-Pack. Again, cleaning up her card text, adding the range bubbles, does exactly the same thing. So action, discard this card to target a ship within range 1 to 2. Disable the captain or a crew upgrade equipped to the target ship, and then place a battle station token beside your ship. In addition, if the target ship is cloaked, flip its cloak token over to its red side. So that last bit of text there is a nod to Star Trek Nemesis and her locating the scimitar while it was cloaked. So she is a discard. So there are ways to save discards. You got Beverly Crusher, you've got Goval. So if you use any of those cards, you've got Imress, who allows you to remove a disabled token for placing a battle station from a crew. But one of the ways I like to use Deanna Troi is I like to include her under Damon Solak. So Solak allows you to place 2 crew upgrades with a printed cost of 3 or less face down beneath his card. So I typically would go with a second of 5 or Deanna Troi. Then you would spend a gold press platinum and then flip one of those crew upgrades beneath him up, and you can use it. So it's definitely situational, but it gives you two cards that are highly usable in any given situation. And of course, you can pair it with Jennifer Sisko or Koth. So hopefully, your opponent, if you got Jennifer Sisko or Koth, uh, your opponent is still working on trying to kind of recoup or get rid of some of those disable tokens you gave them. So by the time Deanna Troy gets there, she's able to disable some more stuff and maybe remove a cloak token or two. All right, so next card is Reginald Barkley. So this card, again, we're gonna have to talk about this card in depth here, but he's also got a misprint on him that was confirmed by the designer. The range bubble was not supposed to be here, so he is restricted to Federation ships only. So add one tech to the ship's upgrade bar. This slot can only be filled by question mark upgrades. So that's an interesting play on his ability, but that makes complete sense. And then he's got the night shift keyword. So just a reminder, night shift is when the initiative token is with the other player and you do not have it, so you are considered on night shift. So planning phase, place 3 time tokens on this card. Increase the range of cards equipped to this ship. Uh, increase the range of cards equipped to this ship that target friendly ships by 1. Max range of 3 this game round. So you're looking for cards that target friendly ships. So again, range 1 gets changed to range 1 to 2. Range 2 gets changed to range 2 to 3. Range 3, there would be no effect because you can't go above range 3. So range 1 to 2 would be changed to range 1 to 3, but then range 1 to 3 and range 2 to 3 would have no effect because you, again, cannot go above range 3. So let's talk about the cards that can only be filled in the question mark cards that can only fill that slot. So you could put EMH Mark 1 in there, disable this card and remove all time tokens from each crew upgrade equipped to this ship. You could put things like Rapid Reload in there, or Systems Upgrade, which will give you another weapon or attack slot. But for his bottom ability, so those cards that target friendly ships, so like Denatra here, when a friendly ship within range is attacking that friendly ship. So I put Denatra in here because I wanted to show the difference between her and Goltaran. So Denatra isn't targeting a friendly ship. She just says if a friendly ship within range, you can attack with +1 attack die. So Barkley would not work with Denatra, but he would work with Goltaran because Goltaran says choose a faction and target all friendly ships. So you would be able to increase Goltaran to range 1 to 3. Again, Jean-Luc Picard, he says target all friendly ships. So the keyword is target. So target all friendly ships. So now you can target all friendly ships within range 1 to 3 and get to place a battle station token beside them all. Alright, next card is going to be Beverly Crusher. She is an errata from the Enterprise E. Again, just cleaning up her card, splitting it off, and getting rid of the ore. They did make her a point cheaper. So we've talked at length about these kind of cards. So Goval can save her if she's being discarded. Bashir can target her and save her if she's being disabled. You've got Phlox, you've got Leonard McCoy. There's multiple ways to save Beverly Crusher. An interesting one, though, is Jean-Luc Picard, where each time an opposing effect would discard, steal, or place any. So if somebody targets Crusher and says, hey, you have to disable her, then okay, you're going to target my weapon instead. Same with Catherine Janeway from Lost in the Delta Quadrant, you get a free attack. But Deanna Troy, she can save Deanna Troy, she can save Second of 5 by discarding herself instead. Alright, so we got more crew. So we've got Catherine Pulaski making her first appearance. She can only be equipped to a Federation captain. Planning phase, discard this card, remove all disabled and or time tokens from the captain equipped to the ship. Free action, disable data or a tech upgrade equipped to the ship, and remove a time token from up to 2 Federation crew upgrades equipped to the ship. So the second half of her ability is very thematic because she always had a disdain for data in his pursuits. So very thematic that she would reach out and disable him or a tech upgrade. And of course, I put the different datas we have in the game that you could disable. Now, Pulaski is a discard, so you could use Beverly Crusher or Goval to save her from being discarded. And you could save Data with Julian Bashir from being disabled. Next crew is going to be Red Shirt Worf from Season 1 of TNG. You'll notice that he is Federation Klingon dual faction, cost of 2. Check for power strain step. If the ship performed a forward maneuver, remove an aux power token from beside the ship. So you could do, say you put him on like an Intrepid class, and that Intrepid class does a forward 6, you can remove an aux power token. So he's kind of a different version of Pavel Chekhov, but I am here for it. When attacking, place an aux power token beside the ship and re-roll up to 2 blank dice. So that's another interesting ability. So Worf can remove aux power tokens, and then you can pay an aux power token to allow Worf to re-roll either your attack dice or your defense dice, because it's when attacking or defending. So that is pretty cool. If you're able to find a way, say you pair it with Montgomery Scott, then you can do Worf multiple times, because Montgomery Scott can eat up to 2 of those aux power tokens, and then Worf can do it a third time, and then clear that third aux power token the next round. And then Montgomery Scott, if an enemy ship has an aux or has a construction upgrade out there, Montgomery Scott can reach out and hand those aux power tokens out, sabotaging those ships. Or of course you could do like Reactor Pit, where you're going to disable and remove an aux power token. You got Reactor Vent. You may spend an aux power token from inside the ship to roll 1 attack die. So that's Reactor Vent and Worf is interesting. So Worf allows you to. So say you get attacked first again, and you're like, oh man, I got a bad roll here with my evade dice. So you put the aux power token next to your ship, re-roll to 2 of those blanks. Oh, you know what? Never mind. Because the reactor event has to start in the start of the combat phase. So if you have an evade token that you weren't able to get rid of with Worf, you could use reactor vent to spend it, and you get to roll 1 attack die. Subspace field, you can discard the card to remove an aux power token, but that's an action. Again, actually thinking about it more, I don't think that card really works here. Coffee Black, you can do the same thing. Harry Kim, though, if after you remove an aux power token from beside the ship, you may place an evade token, and if you're on a night shift, you get to place a battle stations token. So I like Worf and Harry Kim being paired up more. There's other ways to use Worf. I think it just clicked right here while I was recording on exactly how to use Worf, and I'm actually pretty excited about it. Alright, now we got another new crew, Sean Hawk, another first appearance. After an opposing ship within range 1 to 3 executes a maneuver, place 2 time tokens on this card. You may rotate your maneuver dial to the maneuver of the same speed as the opposing ship. Again, here we are talking about movement cards. Sean Hawk just gives you extra maneuvers to do things, and it's kind of cool that we're going in this direction. Alright, another new card, another first appearance. This can only be equipped to Federation ships. This is Padraig Daniels. This ship can maintain 2 blue target lock tokens. Whenever you acquire a target lock token, you may acquire an additional a target lock on an additional opposing ship if able. So that's awesome for things like additional phaser arrays or multi-vector assault mode or phaser cannons that allows you to make multiple attacks. Um, you could do metaphasic sweep. It's a free action to get a target lock on a cloaked ship, and then Daniels can do a target lock on a second ship that's not cloaked. Hikaru Sulu, disable the card to acquire a target lock, and then Daniels allows you to get a second target lock on a ship. And then Karen Ferris allows you to keep those target locks. You don't have to spend them. So lots of cool things to do with Daniels. And then another new crew making her first appearance is Kel Prim. Whenever you remove a disabled token from one of your Federation upgrades, place 2 time tokens on this card and place an invade token beside this ship. So again, pair her with Ezri Dax, and you get to do this every round. Especially if you've got the Miles O'Brien, Julian Bashir conveyor belt going, then you get to do an evade token for free. Porthos is a good option here. Tim Waters, if you do his action, whenever you remove a disabled token, you're going to get the evade. Imres, again, kind of does the same thing, just differently. You put a battle stations token down, you remove a disabled token, then you place 2 time tokens on Kel Prim, and you get to put the evade token. And then Harry Kim, same thing as Imres. You do a scan token this time. You get to remove a disabled token from a crew or a tech upgrade, and Kel Prim can fire off. Alright, so the next crew is Sam Lavelle. Action, disable this card. Perform a red maneuver on the ship's maneuver dial. Again, lower decks. So the interesting thing here is if you pair Sam Lavelle with Worf, and you do your red maneuver that you choose to do as a red forward, technically Worf would clear that Ox power that Lavelle just placed. Of course, you've got other ways to get rid of Ox power tokens through Chekhov, through Scott. And then, of course, we've got ways to get rid of that disabled token through Bashir, through Crusher, and then when you remove a disabled token, Kel Prim can fire off and give you a free evade. So there's lots of synergy going on with all this crew. Next one is Tarek. In phase, disable this card and spend a scan token besides the ship. Repair 1 shield on this ship. If there are any Ox power tokens besides the ship, you may repair 1 hull on the ship instead. Again, lower decks keyword. He is dual factioned, Federation Vulcan, so he does become 1 point if you place him on the Tacumbra, which likes scan tokens. Pair him with Beta Hirogen. The Tacumbra can have 3 scan tokens. Chulak can give you 3 scan tokens. Of course, the Exo Comp helps you repair hull damage as well. Rivers helps you repair hull damage. But that would place the Ox power token that you're looking for in the combat phase, and then the end phase, Tarek would be like, well, look at that. There's an Ox power token next to your ship. And of course, he does kind of the same thing as Data does from this pack, just a little bit less. Next card we've got is Ceto Jaxa. So she can only be equipped to a Federation captain. Activation phase, disable this card. The captain equipped to the ship cannot be affected by opposing cards this game round. Second ability is at any time, disable this card. Swap a battle station, evade, or scan token besides the ship with one of the other listed tokens. So you can flip your battle stations token for a scan, or you can flip your evade for a battle stations, or a battle stations for a scan, or anything. But I think Ceto Jaxa for 1 point being a lower deck card, her shining star is going to be that top ability. So she's going to protect your captain from opposing card effects this game round. Now, granted, you're going to need a lower captain skill captain to protect because you can't stop an effect that's already happened. So she could stop Gul Madred from happening. She could stop Deanna Troy. She could stop Seti Eel from happening. Of course, it doesn't stop Seti Eel completely, but it stops the part in Seti Eel where you have to disable your captain card. So you wouldn't be able to have that option any longer. She could stop Czar, Groth, Gorn Captain, any of them. Alright, we've got Alyssa Ogawa. In phase, place 2 time tokens on this card. Remove a disabled token from a crew upgrade with a lower dex keyword, and then place 2 time tokens on that upgrade. So again, Esri Dax says, well, you place 1 fewer time tokens, so you would put 1 time token on Ogawa and then 1 time token on the lower dex person. And of course, here are all the lower decks from the pack that she can kind of compare with. There's ones like Valtane that I didn't put in here. Uh, but yeah, so she's another way to remove disabled tokens. Oh, that's right. All of these lower deckers are the ones that disable. So she's a way to remove all the disabled tokens from the lower deckers here. Next crew is Wesley Crusher. Activation phase, place 2 time tokens on this card, and then you get a continuous effect. Apply the effects based on the listed tokens besides this ship. When defending, you get to, if you have an evade token, when defending, re-roll 1 blank. When you have a scan, opposing ships within range 1 to 2 have -2 captain skill. If you have a battle stations token, when attacking, re-roll 1 blank. Now keep in mind, the thing about Wesley Crusher is he doesn't care how many tokens you have next to your ship. You can have 3 scan tokens. That doesn't mean that you get to minus the captain skill by 6. What he does care about is what kind of token you have. So if you have all 3 tokens, you get to apply all 3 of those effects. So you'll get to reroll 1 blank in the defending. When attacking, you get to reroll a blank. And then the opposing ship has -2 captain skill. So he pairs well with Esri Dax again because Dax removes 1 time token from being placed. So practically Wesley Crusher's continuous effect is never going to shut off. And then he pairs well with cards that are going to give you multiple tokens. So James Kirk with a scan or evade, or a battle station. Commander with a battle station or evade. Mr. Spock can give you a scan. Jean-Luc Picard will allow you to do an extra action. And then you can use Gold Press Platinum, if you pair him with the Ferengi, to buy another token. Alright, we are almost through the crew. Next crew is going to be Road Laren. Combat phase, disable this card, spend a battle station token besides this ship, and target an opposing ship within range 1 to 3. The target ship can only attack in the initiative order its printed captain skill number on the captain equipped to it. A ship without a captain equipped to it is treated as having the printed captain skill number of 1 and cannot cancel attacks from the ship this game round. So Road Laren is a lot to take in, but this card is amazing for what it's going to do. If you're running a meta that is running Lurin's Bird of Prey's rampant because of their ability to attack first and then have a friendly Ferengi attack first, well, Road Laren doesn't shut Lurin's Bird of Prey off, but it does say that no, you cannot attack first. You can only attack in your captain skill order. So if Lurin's Bird of Prey has a captain skill of 2, it can only attack when skill 2's attack. Same thing with a Leighton or Khan Noonien Singh, the Gen Con that changes his captain skill on his card. Like, great, you're a captain skill 12 now, but you can only attack with the other captain skill 6s. So you may be a 12, but I'm attacking first. Dahar Master, calculating, any of these, really, these cards that change captain skill, Road Laren can kind of protect you against. She maintains the order of attack. So here we go. We've got another errata card. Now, notice that the name has changed on this card. The story that I got was that was a request from CBS Paramount that the name be changed from Natasha Yar to Tasha Yar. So this is a true errata. The new card gets cleaned up text and gets a lower point cost. On top of that, it got changed from two weapon upgrade slots to just one weapon upgrade slot. So there's not a lot that she's going to work well with. Well, I mean, there's quite a bit that she's going to work well with, but Esri Dax allows her to do her ability every round. Of course, the EMH Mark 1 would remove those time tokens, but pretty much you're using Yard to get that extra weapon slot and then using her for extra quality as a target lock, pretty much. The next crew here is going to be Miles O'Brien. You may equip the transporter room tech upgrade to this ship without requiring an upgrade slot. We'll definitely get to the transporter room upgrade here shortly. Free action, disable this card. If it's on night shift, place 2 time tokens on it instead, and perform the transport action as a free action. So the transport action is brand new. I have it right here in the bottom right. So, transport action. Target this ship and another friendly ship within range 1 to 2. Each ship must disable 2 active shields if they have more than 2 active shields. Otherwise, the ship disables all of its remaining shields. Either you get to redeploy a crew upgrade from one ship to the other, or swap a crew upgrade from each ship. So pretty much just beaming ships over, or beaming crew over to a ship that has a slot that's good for them, or you just change a one-for-one change. So, again, if Miles O'Brien is on night shift, as Redax comes into play here and can remove those two, or make Miles O'Brien place one less time token. And of course, Bashir and EMH Mark 1 can also help out O'Brien in this case. The next crew upgrade is Leah Brahms. Can only be equipped to a Federation ship. Whenever this ship would execute a red maneuver, disable this card. Treat this maneuver as a white maneuver instead. If this card is equipped to a Galaxy class ship, you may increase or decrease the speed of that maneuver by 1 to a minimum of 1. So you can't decrease the speed of 1 on a Galaxy class to a speed of 0 because the movement template has to exist in the game, and there is no such thing as a 0 movement template. So, she was going to work well on Federation Galaxy class starships. She is somebody that I am looking at putting into one of my special Galaxy builds where I fly galaxies backwards into battle. So she is kind of an interesting one to have there. Next crew making her first appearance, but not the actor's first appearance in this game. We've got Sealar. Deal damage step. If this ship would suffer any critical damage, discard this card. Discard all jostled navigator and injured captain damage cards that would be assigned to this ship, and do not resolve their effects. And then if she's on night shift, planning phase, place an Ox Power token beside this ship, and place a Scan token beside the ship, and remove one time token from the captain and a crew upgrade equipped to this ship. So that second half of the ability definitely works with all of these cards that are listed here. She's a planning phase ability, so she will allow you to have that Scan token kind of ripping and roaring ready to go for any of these other card abilities. Next crew we've got is a lower decker. This is Sonia Gomez. Action, place 3 time tokens on this card. Repair 1 hull or shield on this ship. If you're on night shift, in addition, place 1 scan token besides this ship. So, 3 time tokens. You can use Esri Dex to place 2 time tokens to do that, or you can use Julian Bashir, because in the end phase, those 3 time tokens become 2 time tokens, and Julian Bashir will be able to remove both of those time tokens. And of course, anytime you repair a whole shield, you can use Sonak to give 2 more scan tokens to be added. and then Harry Kim can re-enable crew once those scan tokens are placed, or you can use somebody like Data, who's going to spend a scan token to repair more shields. You can put her on the Da Vinci, who wants scan tokens to do things as well. Lots of versatility here. Alright, the next crew is another lower decker. This is Leon Su. Whenever an opposing ship acquires a target lock on this ship, if there is a scan token besides this ship, place an evade token besides the ship. While she's on night shift, when defending, modify attack dice step, spend a scan token besides the ship, and the attacking ship cannot spend its target lock token. So interesting that you can just say, nope, you can't spend your target lock. But for the first half of her ability, she could pair well with the Excelsior, who's telling everybody to target me. And that's just a passive upgrade. And then you've got Tom Paris here, who likes to have evade upgrades to maneuver around. But the next 4 cards on the screen here are all cards that you have to use your target lock for. And she says, no, you cannot use your target lock. So you wouldn't be able to attack with any of these cards. So if you say, alright, I'm going to attack you at range 3 with a photonic cannon, that's when you would say, nope, I'm going to spend my scan token and you cannot use target lock tokens. So now you can't spend your target lock token. So now you can't use photonic cannon. Alright, the next card is Orpheus Solus. Action, place 3 time tokens on this card. Perform either a 1 red left or right turn. Night shift, treat this maneuver as a white maneuver instead. So if you're on night shift, again, when you don't have the initiative, you can do this as a white maneuver. He's, again, part of this cabal of cards that is going to give you extra maneuvers, pretty much to let you move wherever you want on the board. And he is the last crew upgrade from this pack. From here on out, we are talking about other upgrades. So we've got the elite talents here. You got These Are The Voyages, which can only be equipped to a Federation ship or captain. Same with Explore Strange New Worlds. So these are the voyages. Say each time the ship performs a maneuver with a speed of 3 or greater, place a mission token on this card. Activation phase, spend a mission token on this card to perform the action listed on a crew upgrade equipped to the ship as a free action. Explore Strange New Worlds, you place 2 time tokens on the card. Place a mission token on this card for each non-minefield obstacle within range 1 to 2. When attacking or defending, if this ship is within range of a non-minefield obstacle, spend a mission token on this card and add a battle station token. Add a battle station. So interesting tidbits there with those 2 cards. The next elite talent is To Boldly Go. Again, Federation Captain only. Prepare gathered card steps. Place a number of mission tokens on this card equal to the number of unique cards equipped to the ship. Each time you remove an Aux Power token from beside the ship, spend a mission token on this card and place a Battle Station, Scan, or Evade token beside this ship. Again, we've covered it. There's a lot of ways to get rid of an Aux Power token now. Worf, Montgomery Scott, Pavel Chekhov, Reactor Vent, Reactor Pit, Tau, who can steal your target lock token, or your Aux Power token. So this is a fun one. This is Federation Captain only, Excelsior class only. It's Fly Her Apart then. Whenever you would place an Aux Power token besides the ship, this ship may suffer 1 hit instead. Or you've got an action, perform a 4 bank, 5 forward, or another 4 bank left or right maneuver as a red maneuver. So you could do the action, and then whenever you place that Aux Power token besides the ship, you may suffer the 1 damage instead and then repair it later on with another card like Data or Exocomp or any of the repair cards. And keep in mind that this is damaging a friendly ship if you do that. So Hikaru Sulu, George Sanders would go off. Obviously, this gets paired with the Excelsiors, which I've put all the Excelsiors on the screen here. So that's kind of where that would fit. And notice it doesn't have a 5 forward or 4 banks on its dial, so it gives it just a little more extended reach. Legacy of the name is not an errata. It is a reprint from the animated faction pack, and it's also got some brand new card art on it. So this is, you can only equip this to a Federation captain on a Federation ship, and it can only be equipped to a unique ship. Free action, place 3 time tokens on this card. Perform a scan or a battle station action or an evade action as a free action. If this card is equipped to a ship with Enterprise in its name, you may perform any available action as a free action. So here are all of the Enterprises that would give you that, if you were unaware of them before. So here's another little fun one. It won't be installed until Tuesday. Again, locked to a Federation captain, and the captain has to have a skill of 5 or less. This upgrade may be equipped to a captain without requiring an upgrade slot, or an elite talent slot, so that's interesting as well. Gather forces step. Place 1 tech upgrade, 1 weapon upgrade, and or 1 crew upgrade equipped to this ship. The selected upgrades cost -2. So this is giving you discounts. But then at the start of the game, you must place 3 time tokens on each upgrade selected during the Gather Forces step. Now that, normally you would hear me say, well, okay, Esri Dax would say 1 less, but no, not in this case. So you have to start the game with those 3 time tokens on each of those upgrades. So these are the captains that this kind of would fit with. Lower captain skill 5 or lower. They typically don't have to have an elite talent slot. So interesting way to get some discounts in the Gather Forces step. So those are all the elite talents. So now we are moving into weapons. So phase cannons, again locked to an NX class only. You may perform a second attack with your primary weapon. So we're looking at the Federation NX, the NX-01 and the NX-02 is the only ships that are going to get this. So how can you make those NX classes have a little more teeth? Well, you could do the Type 8 phaser array upgraded phasers combo. That would bring your primary weapon up to a 4, and then phase cannons would allow you to do another attack with a 4. So 2 4 dice attack, 8 dice attacks. And of course, you got Daniels here who could get you 2 target locks. And you can hold those 2 target locks. Alright, and then the next weapon is the photonic torpedoes. Forward firing arc only. Attack. If the ship has a target lock token on the defending ship, place 2 time tokens on this card and target that opposing ship. If equipped to an NX class, you may convert a battle station into a hit. It's a 4 dice attack at range 2 to 3, cost of 2. Again, wants to be paired with the NX classes. And then especially the Columbia NX-02, who you may attack with a photonic torpedoes weapon upgrade and add an attack dice, and then you get to ignore firing arcs. So it's a 5 dice attack, but you have to discard the photonic torpedoes. So there's probably a way to have a couple of those on your ship. Might be a good idea. But you could also use Kalana if you're going to use just straight up photonic torpedoes. Kalana places 1 less time token on the weapon upgrade, allowing you to use photonic torpedoes every round. Of course, you got rapid reload, kind of does the same thing a little bit. And then you got Patrick Daniels, who will allow you to keep 2 target lock tokens. Next weapon upgrade is a Type 8 phaser array. This is an errata as well from the Type 8 phaser array. So it can only be equipped to a ship with a primary weapon attack of 3 or less. When attacking with your primary weapon, roll +1 attack die. So obviously this gets paired a lot with upgraded phasers. But here are some of the ships that you typically see that combo get run on. Constitution refits, Defiance, Excelsior classes, Constellation classes, and Miranda classes. You just have to figure out a way to get the double weapon slots on there. Alright, and then we've got 2 cards here. Same card, different artwork. I kind of like that idea. These are the Mark 6 photon torpedoes, 4 dice attack. Can only be fired out of your forward firing arc. If this ship has a target lock token on the defending ship, disable this card and target that opposing ship. Notice it does not say spend the battle or the target lock token. Modified dice step. Convert one battle station or one evade into a blank. So we've got a torpedo that reaches into the modified dice step. Interesting. Deal damage. If the defending ship is hit, you may acquire a target lock on the defending ship. So this gives you the free range to spend your target lock to re-roll your dice, and then you grab another target lock on your way out the door. Alright, next weapon is the photon torpedoes, which we have talked a lot about on this channel. These are the time token version of the Federation photon torpedoes. So Colana would work here by reducing the time tokens down to 1. The Enterprise E, you don't need a target lock token to fire. If you wanted a target lock token, you could take Mr. Spock to get that free target lock, or Kirk or Picard to give you free battle stations. Cisco is another one. Remove 2 time tokens or a disabled token from a Federation weapon upgrade equipped to this ship. If this ship has a Federation prototype construction card, you also get to place a battle station token. Of course, Photon Torpedoes wants those battle station tokens. So there was also 2 copies of that card with different card art, so I put that there. I do very much appreciate the different card art, though. Alright, so the tech, we've got Transporter Room. Add the transport action to the ship's action, which we did cover. Whenever a friendly ship within range would be destroyed, that's range 1 to 2, discard this card and redeploy a crew upgrade equipped to the target ship to the ship, ignoring the ship's restrictions. So it's like rescuing a crew from another ship, and then you get to ignore the ship's restrictions and equip them as well. Miles O'Brien pairs well with this because you can equip the transporter slot without having, or the transporter upgrade without having a slot. And here's both the card art for it. Now we've got another new action here. This is going to be in the enhanced tractor emitters, and you add the tractor action to the ship's action bar. After this ship performs the tractor action, disable this card and place either an evade or an aux power token besides the target ship. So what's the tractor action? Well, tractor action is on the bottom half of this rules card here. You get to target a ship with a printed hull value equal to or less than this ship within range 1. Place the Speed 1 maneuver template with its long side next to any side of the target's base, and then place the target on the other side of the template as long as it does not overlap any ships or obstacles. Okay, now also notice and keep in mind that the tractor action doesn't have to target a friendly ship. It can target a ship that's friendly or foe, so you get to move them either way. And then to visualize it a little bit better, I got these screenshots here. So you've got the Voyager reaching out to the friendly Miranda class, and it's within range. So now you get to place the 1 template. We'll say we placed it along its left edge here, and then at the bottom image you get to move the Miranda class over to the other side. So you tractored the Miranda closer to you. Now let's say that Miranda is not friendly. So you can take that Miranda, same everything, and then tractor it and push it away. But you can notice that the edge of the board is right here, and if that ship falls off the edge of the board, you technically destroyed that ship. That ship is gone. So it is possible now in the game to tractor kill somebody, as I've been calling it. So you can tractor kill. Interesting. And if you approach a ship that has enhanced tractor emitters along the edge, you need to be careful for that effect. So any part of your base crosses off of the board edge, that ship is considered destroyed. And then again, to better visualize it, so the middle Miranda class is the one that the Voyager is targeting, and then you can tractor it forward, you can tractor it backwards. The tractor action is going to give us a lot of flexibility. If we might maybe bump or we're afraid of bumping, we can tractor the ship forward or out of the way backwards to give it enough room to move. Um, Interesting, nonetheless. And of course, that card also has two different card arts. Put those there. Now we've got another errata here. This is Micro Power Relays. I believe this came from the Lakota pack. Either way, the text gets updated, um, just to kind of make it more clear. So, Micro Power Relays action: repair one non-critical damage to the ship's hull, or action: flip all the damaged face-up damage cards assigned to the ship face down. So I've seen people do this before, where you've got the Robinson, or you utilize Warp Core ejection. You get the Warp Core breach cards assigned to your card, and then you flip them all face down. And then from there, you can start to repair your damage using Exocomp, Rivers, Lasco. It's a pretty interesting concept, but it takes time to do. So again, we've got another errata here, and this is the last tech, I believe, as the Navigational Deflector has two different card arts as well. So definitely recosted and then cleaned up the wording here on the new card. So the new card states: Navigational Deflector, whenever this ship would suffer damage from an obstacle, including minefield obstacles, disable this card. This ship may roll its defense dice against the obstacle and add an evade. So again, you can use Miles O'Brien, Idrin, Dr. Rega to remove disabled tokens from tech upgrades, and then it protects you against any kind of mine obstacles. So cloaked mines or anti-matter mines. So again, two different card arts, definitely there on the screen. So we're getting to the end here. We've got our question mark cards. So this one is Tea Earl Grey Hot. It can only be equipped to a Federation captain. If it's equipped to a non-Federation captain, it costs 2 points instead of 1. Whenever a battle stations token would be placed besides this ship, place one time token on this card. You may place a scan token and an evade token besides the ship instead, and then remove one time token from another card equipped to this ship. So it allows you to take your battle stations token and then change it to something else, like a scan and an evade. And we've already covered why scans and evades would help Mr. Spock, Patterson, and Chakotay. Same thing with Valtane. An evade will allow you to use Tom Paris to move. The interesting one here, though, is Cedo Jaxa. So, if she's not disabled, you could take that evade token, disable her, and then swap it out for a battle stations token that you wanted originally. She gives you a little bit of options, and that's a cheap way to do that. So we've got another question mark card here. This is Tactical Data Link. Can only be equipped to a Sovereign class ship. This card may fill a weapon or a tech slot. Now notice it doesn't say it counts as, it fills. When a friendly ship within range is attacking, if the defending ship has this ship's red target lock token beside it, that friendly ship may re-roll one attack dice. Range 1 to 2. Again, just a cheap way to get some kind of quality going on friendly Sovereign class ships that you have. Here is another errata, and this card also has two different card arts to it. It does not get any change in its cost, but it does add the Federation only a Federation ship restriction, which is on the previous card, just in text form. It just really just cleans up the text and makes it look a whole lot nicer. So, systems upgrade. This card may fill a weapon or a tech slot, add one tech slot to the ship's upgrade bar, and increase this ship's shield value by +1. So this is one of those cards that I like to use a lot if I'm increasing shields up to 3. So you use systems upgrade, reinforced shields, multi-adaptive, multi-phasic, multi-spectrum, temporal, and then of course shield adaptations, where I like to build my shields up and then make sure nobody can get through. So again, two card arts there. Alright, so now we've got the ambassador that comes here. This is St. John Talbot. Negotiations accepted. This ship and the target ship gain the following ability. End phase. If this ship is within range 1 of the non-minefield obstacle, select either an evade or a scan token besides the ship. That token does not get removed this end phase. So it reminds me of the ability from T'Pau a little bit. Negotiations denied. For the rest of the game, the target ship must place an aux power token beside it after ending a maneuver within range 1 of a non-minefield obstacle. So we're talking like planet tokens and anything of the sort. Alright, we got construction cards here. So this is going to be enhanced hull plating. Can only go onto NX classes. When defending, modified defense dice step. If this ship has no active shield and is not cloaked, you may add up to 2 evade tokens. If you do, or 2 evade results. If you do so, place a 1 aux power token besides the ship for each evade added. So again, we've got plenty of ways to get rid of aux power tokens. This definitely wants to live on an NX class. It is kind of a reskin of the tech enhanced hull plating, so you cannot run both of those at the same time. I do believe this is technically an errata for that older one, making it a new construction card. And then we've got Federation Prototype, which is not new. This is a repeat, but we get some new ships that we can add this to that come in these new packs: the Intrepid, the Nova, the Galaxy. I think those are the only ones. So the other new construction card in this pack that's a little bit spicy is the Dominion War Retrofit. It is 1 per ship, can only go on a Federation, Romulan, or Klingon ship. So for any ships it's added to, you get to add 1 tech, weapon, or crew slot to the ship's upgrade bar, and increase the ship's shield value by +1. If equipped to one of the following non-Borg ships, gain the listed effect. So Cavort or Vorcha, you get to add a Battle Stations token. If it's attached to its Daredex class, you get to replace this ship's primary weapon value with its printed primary weapon value +1, making it a 4 dice attack. If you equip it to a Miranda, Excelsior, or Galaxy class, you get to increase the ship's hull value by 1. So the Miranda class becomes a 4 hull ship. This is a card that has been needed in this game for a very long time to kind of correct some of these earlier things that a lot of people saw as flaws. Things like the Miranda class being so fragile, the Daredex not being able to project power like it does, all of those things. So I believe that is the end of the cards. So thank you everybody for sticking with me. This is a long one, but again, this pack has got 115 cards in it. It's about 3 times the size as the other packs we ever get. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section below, what cards you like from this pack, what kind of builds you've been using, what combos you've found. I want to hear it all. And of course, consider joining us over at the Fremont Discord server, where we talk about Attack Wing all the time, and we run Attack Wing events using a Tabletop Simulator. I've been streaming those over on Twitch, those matches over on Twitch now too. But other than that, we will see you around the shipyard.